Hello, friends, and welcome to the Cornerstone Collective. My name is Jay, your host, and with me today is Angus McLeod,
Hey.
as well as Gage Lee,
What's up?
and our illustrious producer, Javen Corbin Brown.
Hello.
And so today we're talking about all sorts of things. We jumped in kind of a fun way, doing some post takeouts for some video stuff we're doing in a different project, which was really warming my heart as Gage was giving shout outs to people. It was pretty funny, man. Pretty amazing. But I want to jump in today, guys, with a weird, interesting concept. We're talking a little bit about future today. We've been talking about a little bit of that in the past. Talking about future. I want to get your take. There's a guy who he runs BlackRock, which is one of the really big investing firms. So BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, they kind of all own each other, and they own the vast majority of the market, which is an interesting interweb of how that works. But one of the things that they were saying was that they said that the future will be where no one owns anything and they will be happy. So I thought this was an interesting idea because so much about how we originated in our country in America was about the freedom to pursue the American dream, which is ownership and to own businesses and to move everything forward, to be a landowner. In fact, our original voting rights were tied to land ownership and then removed from that idea. So very much it was that. They say the idea is that you'll rent your house, you'll pay for driverless Uber service, you'll pay for streaming, pay for grocery service, you'll own nothing, but you'll be happy. What do you think about that?
I don't think so, Cotton.
If I don't own it, somebody else does.
That is their point. Is that
If
they
I don't
will.
own it, somebody else does,
Correct.
and I don't like that.
Okay, that's an interesting take.
I don't like that. It's like renting a house, right?
Okay.
You don't own the house.
Right.
The stuff inside the house you can claim as yours.
Right.
But pretend in this instance you got everything from Spencer's.
Okay.
Right. So like everything is rented. Everything can be taken away from you at the drop of a dime.
Or it
because
was furnished when you rented it. Yeah.
Sure, whatever the case is, the point is that everything within your life is now able to be taken away because it's not yours to begin with.
Right.
I can understand the concept of somebody saying, like, you'll be happy because you won't have to worry about anything.
Right.
It'll all be taken care of.
Right.
Don't worry, communism is fine. I will own everything, and you'll just do the things I tell you, and that's okay. Because if you don't, I'll take everything away from you.
That is the interesting side of that for sure.
I don't know how I feel about working an 8-hour day so I can borrow somebody else's lawnmower.
Hot take.
I mean, it just,
Tell it.
and then the other thing too is when you start looking about how they're going to do these things and all of the elements and components that go into it, such as social credit score.
For sure.
Then we're starting to talk about limiting free will. And, while yes, it will curb some problems, I'm sure.
Great.
We've got a whole lot of movies on what happens when you start taking away
true.
everybody's rights to
Didn't
do
George
things.
Orwell talk about something
Yeah,
like this?
a little bit of 1984,
right?
something like that. That's right. Yeah, there's a few options of what things that he gave us perspective on. It is an interesting idea, and I understand where they're coming from. What they're trying to talk about is giving the opportunity for, instead of a universal basic income, which is what they're saying what we'll need to have in the future, because they're saying that our technology, our robots, all those things will displace all these jobs. When you don't have truck drivers, which are amazing in what they do to help facilitate America, because of how big we are. They take goods from here to there, food from here to there. They say we're like 2 weeks out from not having any food at all at a store. And so we've seen that happen during COVID when people ran out of everything because suddenly they shut down the ability for these guys to move across state lines and a bunch of other things, regulations. So we can understand how real that is. That's why everybody, ran to the thing to get toilet paper, et cetera, during 2020. But I thought it was really interesting because it goes exactly to what you're saying about, like, you won't own anything, but their idea is now they'll control all those pieces. And if you don't align with what they're doing, that's essentially what they're talking about, is carrot and stick.
Yep.
So really interesting.
I don't like it whatsoever.
I fail to see the difference between that and slavery. Because with this basic income, you have to perform certain duties, whether that's just behavior or some sort of a task for the community. And if you don't, the owner takes everything you have.
That's right.
No, I mean, I guess this is also kind of a hot take, but I understand there are some benefits to the concept, even in being that, if you aren't a productive member of society, then you don't get to live the life like everybody else does.
That's true.
Whereas in a lot of instances, people view the welfare system to an extent as being taken advantage of by some different communities or members of different you know, whatever the case is.
Right. Well, at the same time, being desperately needed by others.
100%.
Right.
100%. So I've heard the argument of like, you know, why is it that I'm working all these hours to pay for somebody else's stuff, and now I barely have this left over to take care of mine?
For sure.
So, you know, there's that perspective as well. So where, you know, if you are living in that kind of environment, that kind of, you know, structure, then yes, everybody does kind of have to carry their weight.
Right. We see the other side of that with Total Money Makeover and Dave Ramsey and all those guys are like, live below your means, pay everything off, owe no one anything, and then everything is cash, and you're being generous out of your overflow, not over charging it to a card.
Yeah.
And I know from when we were young and we went through times that were really difficult where we had some of that over our heads, man, that feels terrible to go to Angus's point where it's like you owe this debt that it almost feels like it's endless, and you have to kind of find your way out of it and really dig down deep. Stop doing everything you want to do that's fun. It's like what those guys talk about on the radio show so often on the Ramsey show. Doesn't matter the host, they'll tell you, yeah, you can't do anything. You can't go out to eat anymore, like ever.
Yeah.
Like you just can't do it.
Yep.
Like you're on the ramen diet, you're going to drop pounds. It's going to be good for you because you're not going to spend any money going out.
100%.
And they just start talking about that because they're trying to reset where people owe so that they can go and be productive in the future.
Yeah, I mean, you got to set different standards for these people, you know, because I mean, that was us. That was us 100%. We just became, it's so funny, we became debt free to then inherit more debt. But thankfully, we have the money set aside in another account so as to pay off that debt, but also build our credit.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, it's such a weight. And that's exactly what we had to do. We had to stop eating out, had to stop doing all of these things that we really enjoyed.
Of course.
Because short-term loss, long-term gain.
That's right. We were talking a little bit off camera about this idea of all the subscriptions that we pay for, and we're talking about all the streaming things you do, and you forget, you add it on for this one thing you want to watch, and then you're paying $12 a month or whatever. Talking about how now all your security camera systems are like that, and everything everything's another add-on, and that's where I think this would go. You know, I just got done rewatching Ready Player One, which I don't know if you guys have seen that show.
Yeah.
It's a classic book.
Love it.
The book's a little more racy than the movie, obviously, so I haven't finished that book. But the movie is very much about like the world that they live in. But the IOI, the company that's taking over in that narrative, the whole purpose is for them to take over so that they can sell all of your visual space. And they're like, we can sell whatever it is, like 80% of it before they have a seizure, which is like, that's how corporate America thinks. And that's how I think these guys will think. Is that once we get them they get tied in, or we all get tied into this concept, well, then they can put the screws to whoever they want. Because even if you're somebody who's an oligarch at that time, let's say, okay, everybody is on this system, we don't own anything. Well, all of us need a refrigerator. Well, the people that make a refrigerator, they're going to choose one over the other, and that's going to be the refrigerator. So the other one doesn't get to make the refrigerator anymore. You know what I mean? Like they could choose that kind of stuff because we're no longer being the people that go and buy.
Yeah,
it's choices.
We lose the control.
Mm-hmm. So even if you had the choice amongst A, B, and C, it's still going to be the same kind of gig. So it's going to be like, oh, you don't own anything. Okay, well, are you going to be a tier A? Are you going to pay $900 a month for your car? Are you going to be a tier B? Where and none of the cars you're going to drive, they're going to drive them. So
what's crazy about the car thing, I just saw this woman. She was so frustrated because she just spent $50,000 on a brand new, I think it was some sort of a 2025 Toyota, and you have to pay for the subscription for this and that.
Right.
There are some vehicles that you have to pay. You have to pay the subscription to be able to see your gas gauge and like your oil and all that kind of stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that's what they're moving to. So if you want to be able to see that stuff, you want to be able to drive your own car.
Yeah.
You know.
That's actually a little further down, but we'll go right into it right now. Was this idea of future cars? Phoenix is one of those markets that we get tested on all the time. So we're open to stuff. It's kind of we were the last state in the continental United States. There's very much like a Wild West kind of renegade kind of guns of the Navarone kind of like let's shoot it out kind of an idea here. So they're willing to test stuff on us, and that's always been. We've been a drink market for all these. We had Clear Pepsi. We had all these different
fast food market.
Yeah. They try stuff on us, like weird stuff first here. So like we had the Shamrock Shake for everybody else, and all these other kind of pieces like that. But one of those things that they're doing with future cars is that Waymo is always tried here in Phoenix. It's everywhere. Like you can see them all the time. They're
terrifying.
They're getting stuck in traffic. Yeah. They're driving right into the middle of the water. Like whenever it was flooding, people were having to bail out. Yep. So, and these are like nice cars. They're Jaguars. Nice cars. So I've sat in it. It's an interesting feeling like to go. I mean, you're not going very fast. So I was like, this is fine, because it's downtown Phoenix somewhere. But I could see how that would be an interesting evolution of idea. I know they rolled out in Vegas. They've rolled out those cars that don't really have a front or a back. They're more like a cube, and you sit facing each other. So it'd be like us sitting facing each other as you're going point A to point B down the strip. So that's this thing that's happening right now. And then we're in the market for Amazon where we have drones that deliver to our house. So we've had delivery to our house from drone. I don't know if you guys have. I think we've talked about that a little bit on the pod.
I think we're on a route, though, because I hear buzzing past our office all the time.
Yeah. So. Gage happened to be at his parents' house, which they live across the street from me. We live across the street from each other. And whenever we had a drone fly overhead, he's like, "What is that?" I go, "Bro, that's Amazon."
That's Amazon. Yeah, we were having a conversation, and I was like, "What in the world is that?" And you go, "Bro, that's Amazon. They're dropping off a package." I was like, "No way." Not even like 3 minutes later. Yeah. It's like, he's like, "Yeah, he's going back to grab another package."
That's right. And there came another one, and then back again.
Yeah, I think we saw like three.
For sure.
3 while we were standing out there chopping it up. It's wild.
We're recording this in the beginning of November, and tonight Phoenix happens to have like the best view of the full moon, like the hyper moon or whatever.
Yeah, it's
Last
incredible.
night I was in the pool in the dark, like it was 10:30 at night. I'm just sitting there in the cold enjoying it. Man, the moon was huge and bright and beautiful, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. But because we have killer skies like that so often, like we can see all the SpaceX, all the SpaceX satellite band when it runs across the sky. It looks so wild.
Yeah.
To be out here and just see this massive line of satellites.
You know, we've
flying.
also had some really awesome shooting stars in our skies the last couple of days.
Yeah.
I've seen 2 for sure, and buddies have seen other ones, but like they were super bright, super vibrant, and they're to the point where you can actually, I'm seeing them break apart at the end. So they're you go from one big like bright greenish white, and then it sheds off into like 12 plus
As it gets
different
heated up
little
in the
pieces.
atmosphere.
Atmosphere starts breaking it up.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's been very interesting. The sky's been very interesting the last couple of days.
That is interesting. I was going to say the other one that's rolling out is Tesla. You know, they've talked about for years and years having the self-driving, and they've had that, and you've had to pay for that, like as we're talking about the subscription model.
Terrifying.
You've had to pay for that, or you've had to pay for the upgrades to do like Plaid and to make unlock your car to go fast. So it's interesting as they're going to roll out full driverless where, you know, now even people who have a car, if they want to, they can go and like let their car go, and their car can go and pick up people and run like a taxi independently and then go park itself back in your driveway.
Wow.
So essentially you'll make money from your car and it'll go against.
And you're doing nothing but owning the car.
Yeah, I mean it'll run.
Owning
like let's
the
say
car.
let's say you get home from work at 7. You could cut you live downtown or in a corridor where they want that.
Right.
You could cut your car loose, and your car will go off and go pick up people and take them place to place, et cetera, and then it'll come back and park itself in, and then you'll be ready to go in the morning. Now, obviously, the charge would be an issue, but that would be part of the conversation. So I thought that was an interesting idea, is to go have like your stuff go work for you while you're at work, which is an interesting
That is
concept.
very cool.
So I think that's why these guys like Larry at BlackRock can talk about that, because the technology is catching up to a place where if you're in a city center, or you're within close proximity to a city center where it has those kind of features, and more specifically the power grid to support the charging of all those things, then that would happen. But it's interesting because we talk to people who deal with power. We happen to have a nuclear power plant here in Greater Phoenix Metro out on the west side of town where we are. Another, it's 25 miles or more past us. But people live here and they go work out there and have for years. We've always had people work at the power plant, part of our church.
Oh, yeah.
And in doing so, man, they haven't even built out the rest of all the ones they're supposed to build out there. And they talk about with all these things that were powered by batteries coming online, we don't have the power grid to support it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to do this exactly, but it should be interesting to see.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, there's gonna be an enormous need for the expansion of our infrastructure in the Metro Phoenix area over the course of the next 5 years, because there's a lot of conversation about another TSMC coming out here.
That's right.
In
You're gonna build the other
downtown
one.
Phoenix. Yep. There's a lot of talk about different battery plants, like where they're actually building these batteries. I've done one of them all the way out in Casa Grande.
Right.
And they're doing more and more data centers. More data centers means more power,
Right.
more water, all these other things.
Yeah.
And we do not have the adequate amount of any of those things to sustain the rate at which we're growing and seeking out these different things. And it'll be to where we come to a point of everything stops.
Right.
Everything stops. Like they're going to get so far ahead of themselves that nobody's going to be able to go into work anymore because the factory needs to shut down because we need to conserve water for people to take a shower or to drink.
Right.
That's one of my fears with how quickly things are expanding out here.
And that'll be a battle because Arizona gets a lot of its water, especially its northern water, which drips down to here to Phoenix and then on to Tucson, through central Arizona and through the other ones.
CAP, SRP, all those. Yeah.
Salt River Project, Central Arizona Project, and it takes it out of the Colorado River and other waters that come into us. But the Colorado, 60% of that water is owned by California.
Yeah.
And so that stuff's going to be have to be renegotiated. They're going to have to start doing desalinization the way that we've talked about that the Arab Gulf does and other people for us to get the water here for us to be able to build those kind of places and have those kind of jobs. So my cousin happenstantially, he's a lineman, so he does the power lines and does all that connections. And they were rolling out new stuff to do that Lucid plant down in Casa Grande. And when they did that, he was saying, I'm like, well, how's that going? Are they burying them? Are they doing? He's like, no. They're flying everything. But not just that, they're going to plan to move everything. So the idea is they're building it to this place, and then they already plan to spend more millions of dollars to shift where the power goes. But they weren't willing to do it on the front end because they didn't have the capital.
Sure.
Wow. So it's just all this like pay and then repay and then repay kind of thing.
Yep.
So it's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I mean, I get where their head is with that, right? Is like building, planning, organizing, creating the circumstance to be able to follow through with it, all before you have the means to do it.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's kind of like having a proactive 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plan, is where you're constantly doing these things ahead, even when you don't have the means to do it. So I can respect part of that.
Sure.
Right. But that also has gotten a lot of different companies in trouble because then you're biting off more than you can chew.
Yep.
And now this land that you developed, that you did all this work with, now you can't utilize.
That's right.
Now you have to try and sell off for a fraction of what, and then you go bankrupt. There's so many different circumstances where these things have happened.
And the growth patterns in Phoenix, we just go out and out and out and out because we're not a vertical place. Unlike big cities I've lived in across the world, we just go out because we have more land. We take over more farmland, more desert. We just keep going out. So we jokingly say like we're going to connect at Los Angeles because where we were, what used to be the edge of town, we used to be fields and then desert, and now town goes 20 more miles continually all the way out. And so we
homes,
can drive,
businesses, everything. Yeah.
And we can drive in Metro Phoenix and an hour and a half the other way going 75 miles an hour on the freeway and still be in Metro Phoenix.
Yeah.
So it's a wild thing to have that vast of a space. If we had more density, we'd be like Tokyo.
I think that's part of what we're trying to avoid so much with expanding out is we don't, because I know you like the city life. I'm more of like the rural kind of lifestyle. I don't like the concept of being stacked on top of everybody.
Right.
And that's part of what scares me so much about so many people flooding into Arizona right now.
Right.
Is where are they going to go?
Well, our problem is not that because we don't have any kind of density. Even living side to side in suburbia is cookie cutter. You have a lot more space. Like I've lived in where it's like stack.
Sure.
You're living in high-rise apartments and all that type of stuff in Cairo and Alex and Paris and
I know you've seen all the apartments going up out here. There's a lot of it. Now, granted, they aren't 20-something stories, they aren't super stacked, but they are pretty big, man. Yeah. And they're making a lot. I feel as though. Correct me if I'm wrong, but just what it looks like is they're making a lot more apartments than they are building homes right now.
Well, the idea for a lot of the cities is they're going to master plan the communities till when they sell them out. And then they're going to try to densify all the open spaces because they need to have as many people in their city as possible. So this is the same thing that's going to happen to Phoenix, I think. I think they're going to go and buy out swaths of places that already were built up but are old. I think they'll demo them and they'll make them skyrise because what will happen is it's beneficial to them to densify now that they're a city where they can't grow anymore. Yeah. So there's nowhere for them to grow. So the only way they can do that is go up. Right. Yeah. And so I think that's why we're starting to see that in the downtown corridor. I know there's like 30 high-rise buildings slated for Phoenix and Tempe, as well as even out here in Goodyear, where the old trotting track was. They're talking about building some 10-story joints out there.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. So interesting. So own nothing, be happy is kind of a scary misnomer a little bit.
No,
but
thank you.
It's not our generation. I think about that. It's the next one
and the one after. Yeah.
Right. Javen, what do you think your take is on that? What do you think the people in your age group will think about own nothing, be happy?
Well, I think ideally everybody still wants to own part of something, but definitely like the technological shift and everything kind of going wireless, right, and sort of being almost like variable to whatever the market is or variable to kind of whatever services people need, like whether it be like the way that crypto fluxes or something like that. As everything continues to go digital and people just kind of look for ease of access for everything, I think definitely people will, especially within urban environments, shift towards the mentality that as long as I have a place to kind of lay my head on, I don't really care what's mine as long as everything like comes easy to me.
Yep.
But especially within Western society, like within Europe and the US, people are definitely going to want to still own stuff.
I think it's going to be interesting because I think you're right. I think there's going to be a piece of that, but I think the thing they're going to want to own is going to be more hobby. So I think it'll be like where people go to their hobby to own something and everything else they don't care, which will give them control to the people that control those bigger pieces, but they'll be more focused on their hobby and what they're passionate about. That's what I think they'll actually spend their money on. So it'd be interesting. So shift a little bit. Top 10 quiz, give you guys 3 strikes. Top 10 things that people collect. This is out of North America. What do you think? Top 10.
Uh-oh.
Gold. Jump in. Gold is on the list. Number 1, coins. We'll give you that. So say coins.
Guns.
That's good. That's good.
You know, didn't make the list, and it's probably
I'm ashamed,
this
America.
is most likely not all of America considered.
Baseball cards.
Cards are on there. They're number 3 is the cards. Javen, you got a choice here.
Tools.
Yeah, I mean tools.
Tools is a no. No tools. This is collections.
Right.
You got to remember, with popularized, people collect. So more of like a collection than usable. So I think that's why they probably didn't think of guns like that, though there are tons of gun collectors.
Yeah.
But
Shoes.
I think shoes is on the list. Sneakers is number 6. So
I don't know, like jerseys or like memorabilia.
they don't have that on here necessarily.
okay.
I think it's more specific to some things like you're thinking about, because memorabilia would be all of this.
Sure,
So,
sure.
Cars.
Ooh.
don't have cars on here.
What? Dude, I'm out.
No, don't have cars on here.
Bacon grease.
Thereabouts. J-Bo, you got a choice?
What about like bottles, like alcohol or wine?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. No, it doesn't have that. Think like larger sections, like more categories. So like old people used to collect this whenever they used to write things to each other.
Stamps.
Stamps is number 2 on the
Come on, that was
mix.
too much though. You gave
Now,
us the answer.
One of the ones that made all the famous movies like Marvel came from.
Action figures.
Those came from
Hollywood.
comic books.
Okay.
So all of it came from
Dear
comic
heavens.
books. So
I don't
comic
know how
books,
we didn't get that one already.
still good. Action figures also on the list, following comic books. So action figures and toys would be next.
Okay.
So people big on that, like collecting, especially if you were someone who didn't have it when you were young. That's kind of how I am with sneakers, where I didn't have the sneakers.
Sure.
Now I have all the
What
sneakers.
about jerseys?
Didn't have jerseys or clothes on here.
Autographs.
But I'll give you this. Think about music. What would
Albums.
okay, but how?
Vinyls.
Vinyls. Vinyl records is a big deal. So your vinyl record collection, not just how many MP3s you have or whatever, but
Sure.
actually the vinyls. Something we were talking about a little bit earlier, right before this thing about you're going to go buy something.
Oh, watches.
Watches is a huge collectible thing because people love where they come from. They love the movements.
That's
they
very
love
true.
All the different pieces that make it what it is. So people will buy, what they call watch rolls, like rolls and rolls of watches where they have these collections of watches.
Jewelry.
So no, jewelry's not on there. The bottom 2 or the last 2 we're trying to figure out. Think about what older people used to buy. Maybe if you're wealthy, what you might buy.
TiVo.
No. I'll give you a hint here. This stuff is old.
Come on.
Antiques.
Antiques and vintage furniture. It's a big deal.
Furniture.
Yeah, antique furniture. Once they kind of people get to a certain place, they know where they're going to live. Then they want to fill their home with certain things, and some of that's nostalgia or certain types of stuff, so they like antiques.
But that's kind of interesting too, though, because the concept of collecting antique furniture is pretty wild. Do you have to like, are these people collecting to like use it to live? Or are they going to have like 10 love seats throughout their house?
I think
or is
some
it like,
people, that would depend on what they're doing. We've watched in the past like people that had a lot of wealth that moved to places like France. Like throughout Europe, there are lots and lots of castles that people have essentially, because of their tax system, they didn't have the money to, as the things got handed down, even though they own the land, they didn't have the money to keep up all the stuff.
Yeah.
So eventually they'd have to sell all the stuff from inside.
it needs to get
their
retrofitted,
castle.
yeah.
and then there things kind of fall apart. So guys are walking in with big chunks of money from selling businesses or from saving up or investments, even in their young 30s, in like working, restoring castles, restoring all the stuff back. And the thing they're going to buy, usually secondhand at Brico's or
That's interesting.
is vintage furniture to fill it in correctly into these rooms.
Such a small market taking up so much of the collections.
For sure. Another one that's just like, this is a rich people thing that they would collect. What do you think? Very rich.
Very rich.
Fewer than
bonds.
top 1%.
Bonds.
No. I mean, that would be an idea, like buying what you're doing for your investment. But this is
Friends.
like a physical thing. That's
Boats.
Trying to buy friends.
not necessarily boats. This is a little bit more abstract than that. It's the thing that like
Art.
That's right.
There you go.
They buy art. And
The Louvre.
It gave a second. It says art prints or posters, which is like the very ghetto, college version of that or high school version of that. But it's art. So those are the things that most people collect. So I was thinking about, if you don't own anything, then what would people collect? And what would that look like? So an interesting concept for sure. All right. The other side of collecting stuff is minimalism and getting rid of everything and dealing with just a certain number of things. Some of the things I've watched in the past, especially for people that are big on travel and lightweight travel, is that they would travel with just a backpack. And so they would travel the world, and what they owned was their camera gear and what was in their bag.
Yeah.
And so they might have investments, they might have stuff somewhere in a locker, but most likely they got rid of all that stuff. And these guys would just go digital nomad, place to place to place. And so some people would own like 100 items. And like that's all they would own in their whole life, even back home. And if they got something new, they'd get rid of something, which is an interesting idea. I was watching a podcast called the Minimalist Podcast, and they're partnered with someone called Paring Down, which is also the same kind of concept. And so they were talking about these two different clips. This woman was sharing, she said that there was a Harvard professor that says this. He says, you don't buy products, you hire them to do a job. If they don't do their job, you fire them and let them go. Wow. Which is an interesting way to think about the things you own. What do you guys think about that?
I saw that too. I thought that was an incredible way to look at things. There's a lot of things in my house that need to be fired.
Anything off the top of your dome that you'd be like, I need to fire this right now?
Stuffed animals.
That's a good one.
That's a hard one. Angus has 3 daughters, and they are still younger, junior high and that type of stuff, and even elementary. So stuffed animals still in the world, man.
Oh, they know. They know. That's the one thing between us.
That's so funny. Well, I was saying this, and we might have talked about it on the pod, but one of the things that my youngest daughter, Amelia, she's a 7th grader, so she was paring down all of her stuffed animals. She's stuffed animals from everywhere, man. But I'm thinking about all the times I lugged a stuffed animal through an airport or something like that. Sure. And I'm like, dude. And she's just like, in the bag. I was like, oh, no. But she's right. She doesn't need it anymore. We can give it on to someone else or whatever. But, man, it's sometimes that getting rid of stuff is a little bit tough.
Sure, yeah.
What about you, Gage? Something that right off the top of your head, you would fire it.
Oh, it sucks to say too, because me and my wife went back and forth about this for a hot minute before I got it. But I got a KitchenAid stand mixer.
Those are great.
Wonderful great. When you use them.
Oh, okay. You're not using
this thing's been stagnant. We used it like twice when we first got it.
Ooh.
And then it just sits underneath the cabinet, wasting big space. Oh. I'm sure my wife is going to watch this and be like, but we could still use it. Yeah, but we don't. But we don't.
Dude, I could talk to you about all kinds of things that you could use it for.
Yeah, totally. I was like, you
want to? Oh, I agree. There's uses for it, but we just don't do it. We go over, like we usually go for the convenience of not making it at home, right? So like, big Sam's Club trip, you see something that you can make at home, and you're like, but there's 10 of them right here. I'll just grab it.
That's right. Yeah,
yeah. It's usually how it plays out.
You want to part ways with it? I got a crispy $100 for you.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, and that's one of the things. That's the hard part, right? It's like we don't use it. We haven't used it in a long time. But when the opportunity arises, and I want to make some homemade cinnamon rolls,
right?
Am I going to sit there and whisk by hand for an hour and a half?
What do you think that the lovely Janaea would fire from the things you own?
Oh, let's see. Probably some shirts.
Okay, stuff that she doesn't like of yours?
Yeah, just stuff that's old that doesn't get used that I always say, well, that's a good yard shirt if I'm doing work around the yard.
Just got worn in.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah, I got some vintage stuff laying around.
That's right.
It's not really that vintage. It's only a few years old. I've just burned them.
2005. You know Let's go.
Come on. Come on.
Javo, what do you think, man? You got something that you'd say you'd fire it?
I think for me, I usually first go to clothes. It's like if I haven't worn it in like over, I want to say like 2 months, unless it's like a jersey or it's like something that you would keep for keepsake, like from a special country, I'm kind of just like toss it. Because if you're not going to wear it during that time, when are you going to wear it again?
That's a good point.
Is my thought process on it. But
that's a very good point. And Javen just went through his purge and leaving from, high school days and going into college. So he let a bunch of stuff go. And I was kind of like, are you sure you want to let go of all this stuff? Like, and he's like, nope, doesn't care. Got rid of it.
Nice.
And so he takes after his mom in that regard. Celeste is really great at, like, she would just let go of the whole world and be like, whatever, like, doesn't care, not emotionally attached to anything. And I think I'm definitely on the other end. And, like, I get it from my parents. My parents are like people that, they went through really tough times and were poor when they're young and things like that, worked hard, bought good quality stuff. And this lasted them a long time. But as a result, the more stuff they get, it just piles on. And so they don't get let go of the original stuff. They just add more stuff.
It's still good.
And I think that's a generational thing, I think, for that era, which is why they might be the same. My folks aren't, but that era of people might be the ones getting, vintage stuff, knickknacks, or, we talked about buying furniture, stuff like that. That's those kind of things. So
yeah,
some
absolutely.
of those antiques.
I used to be really good at letting stuff go. I used to be really good. And I think a lot of it's just because I lived like really on the whim. And, I was in the instances I'm thinking about are like there was a few times I was in some pretty crazy relationships. And at the end of it, I just packed like a bag of clothes that I needed for work and like a couple regular outfits I could wear on the weekends, threw them in a garbage bag, threw them in my car, and left everything.
Wow.
Everything I owned except for a bag of clothes for work and stuff like that. And like I had a bucket of tools.
Yeah,
I took that.
Wow.
Like a bag of clothes, and that was it. And I split. And these are like, 2.5 years worth of like building up a life.
Right.
Whether it be like, furniture for the house or TVs or like spending over $1,000 for a bed and all these other things. And it's like, I don't want any of it.
Right.
All I want is sanity.
Right.
Right. And like, and it's so crazy because your peace of mind, you come to find out in certain circumstances in life, is so much more valuable than all the materialistic things that you think you need or that you think hold so much value. None of it means anything when it's costing you your peace of mind.
That's a great point. It's a great point. And I think that's very true. I was thinking about Marie Kondo. She's a Japanese woman who got really popular kind of in COVID, post-COVID. And she had this whole, that they're very much like everything in its place and for everything a place kind of people. And so very much like organization and thought process. And she had this whole process where she would walk in with people who are like hoarders and they just couldn't let go of anything. And she'd walk in and she'd be like, you embrace it, like thank the item, and then you let it go. And it was like a ceremonial, like emotional tie cut. And they were doing that because people were emotionally tied to their stuff. They didn't use their stuff. They didn't care about it, but it was in a drawer. They knew it was there. And so she was like, you don't need any of this stuff. This stuff's weighing you down. Exactly what you just said. And so it was really interesting to see. That's why it's interesting to talk to the minimalists. I would say this, though. The other side of minimalism is that you're so identifying with what you don't have that that becomes like a sense of pride. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing.
Yeah, 100%, right? You get to a point where you're basing your identity in this concept of life and how it's, potentially this is the concept of like it's better than the other side.
Right.
And it's so much better and I'm a part of it.
Right.
Right. And I also understand where they're coming from and like, no, it's not just, that I'm doing it. It's what it saves me and how the lifestyle I live. I'm so mobile, so this is a necessity. And some people do it out of necessity.
For sure.
But I also think that there are people, like you're saying, that do it out of I don't want to say pride or arrogance, but the perception that they have of the lifestyle itself. And not for what it gives them.
From that podcast, her whole point was exactly what you're just saying, where it's like people are buying this thing to try to gain or, garner attention to themselves. And she said, these things that you buy will not get you status. Your personality should get you status.
Sure, yeah,
So
your character, your integrity,
exactly.
who you are, yeah.
And so she was saying that versus like trying to buy your way in by wearing a design or something or other, which I think, that's hard for people that maybe they came from a more poverty mindset because they're thinking, oh, if I had these rich things, then I would be included or I would be wanted. Sure. And that's just not true.
Not even a little
You know what
bit.
I mean? And they talk about people who are really wealthy, not just upper middle class or like on the new money, but people that are very wealthy don't normally buy the real flashy, big logo type of stuff.
No.
It's not really their agenda. So that's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I mean, that Adam Sandler is a great example, right? Always running around a baggy T-shirt or a hoodie and some baggy basketball pants.
Yeah, and
I
he's
love
worth
it.
like $750 million.
Yeah, it's an outrage, exponential number. Yeah.
Exactly right. It's interesting thinking about this too, because the reason I was bringing it up is that spaces, cities are now granting smaller and smaller places to be dwellings, whereas before it had to be a certain number of square feet to be considered a dwelling, and now they're kind of getting down towards, in my opinion, it's going to go towards pods. I think that they're going to go towards the Japanese sleep pod idea, which you'll see in different cities, where you can go and rent this pod. What happens in Japan, it's such a big place, and there's such a work culture which also expects you to go in and to spend some time with your colleagues at work, that people will leave work and go have dinner or drinks with their colleagues and then go home.
Yeah.
So if they stay out late or they drink too much sake or something, then what they'll do is like go to karaoke or something. Then they will actually not try to go all the way home. They'll just rent a sleep pod and then get up in the morning and go back to work. So you can have a shower there. They have towels. They have all the stuff, and you would just put your other clothes back, your same clothes back on, right back to the office.
I used to have a sleep pod. It was the bed of my truck.
Mobile sleep pod, Arizona,
dude.
Arizona edition.
That's it, man.
That is the redneck way to do that. I definitely slept in a bed of a truck a bunch.
That was like a period of my life. It was like 3-4 months.
Okay.
I had lost a place to stay, and so like the remaining clothes that I had, it was one of those things where like,
Wow.
just took the necessities, threw them in the bed of my truck, and it was a '95 Nissan hardbody, slammed to the ground on Dayton's. I had 100 spokes on it. It was all yellow. I fully redid the interior.
Wow.
Gutted it out, did new insulation and flooring, carpet, took out the headliner, did the headliner myself.
Nice.
Threw 2 amps and 2 12-inch subs in the access cab in the back.
Nice.
And this thing was thumping. Manual 4-cylinder, just a little,
Yeah.
called it Banana Love.
Banana.
Called it Banana Love. It was all yellow with a yellow snug top. But I was doing rebar back in the day, too. I was a
Okay.
union rebar member, and I would drive from job site to job site, and I would lay my clothes over me. And this was all in the wintertime.
Oh, wow.
I'd lay my clothes over me in the bed of my truck, and I lived out of the bed of my truck.
That's
I would go
crazy.
like hang out with my girlfriend at the time and like shower at her place,
And then go.
and then just go to the job site and sleep in my truck.
Dude.
I'd gotten woken up a couple times from like cops. Like I could hear them looking through my truck. Like, what is this truck doing here? And I'd
Yeah.
pop open the back and be like, hello? They're like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
You're also keeping them from stealing your speakers and your rims.
Yeah, it was a very interesting time, but it was my own personal little sleep pod.
That's
My own
hilarious.
little sleep pod.
Just covered in your clothes. Wow.
I had to use what I had, man.
No, man, it's understandable. I mean, I definitely know that whole deal where it's like you're jumping between place and place and trying to make a way. I remember I was working during college. They kick you off campus during breaks, and I was going to school in California. I went and I had a job where I was resurfacing a boat. So I was waxing a boat and doing stuff in the dead of winter, in the middle of December.
Wonderful.
It was super cold.
Wonderful.
In Long Beach, in Redondo, in that area, and it was super cold and sketchy. And I'm like living between my truck and this boat, and it
Nice.
was just not my favorite time.
Sure.
So you have an appreciation for like a warm place that's safe to be
That's
in.
it. You can lock a door.
100%.
I couldn't lock the snug top on the bed of my truck.
But that's why I think like it will go towards some of this stuff where it's a lot smaller spaces. Even here in Arizona, the governor said it's okay to do an additional dwelling in your back garden or backyard. So you can actually go and make a place that's like 100 square feet or whatever the metrics are that you can have in your backyard, and someone can live there. And so they made that kind of be a place already because of the price of housing is pricing people out.
So it's like a micro casita that you
Essentially.
could then like rent out. Is
in
that what he's
theory,
saying?
rent
Or
out.
add as another bedroom onto the listing of your home.
More of a multi-generational stopgap
Okay,
is what
okay.
people are doing, which is interesting.
That's gangster.
But I was thinking about this pod idea because I've got a chance to see them, be in them before, and it's a really interesting thing. Stayed in hostels in Europe and stuff, and that's a weird thing because you're like in bunk beds in a room shared with other people. So I'd much rather be in a pod where your stuff's in there and your stuff's in a locker
Personalized,
locked.
yeah.
A lot safer, but like they have throughout Asia. But one of the things I saw was this new thing called Cognify, which is a future prison. And what they do is they put you in these pods like that. And it's essentially like the Matrix or some version of the future you've seen, where they put these, they tap into your brain with some kind of a piece, and they have this headset that's over it. And essentially they're feeding you emotional pieces that you have to go through the harm you caused to the victims of whatever crime you did.
I like that.
But it's one of these things where they live this huge amount of time in their head as if they lived 50 years of a sentence, but it takes 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
So they lock them into this thing, and it's like, but they've lived this whole thing. It's like people that go on like a crazy trip or something, you know, like from taking drugs. But this is the same kind of thing where they feel the emotions for all this time and live out all this time.
This is a wild concept.
Because they're plugging into your brain, so you feel like you've aged all that time. And essentially it's supposed to like reprogram you to a normal person.
Well, hold on.
Could you imagine a 5 minute set? They walk in there, they lay down for 5 minutes, whatever, 3 minutes, 5 minutes.
Well, sure. You take
Pop
somebody
back
with
up.
a heinous crime and you stuff them full of 50 years of trauma and then send them back out. No, you need to send them directly to therapy. You know what I'm saying?
This is the whole point. Is they're like saying that what is really the point of prison? Is the point of prison rehabilitation, or is the point of prison punishment? If it's both, then they're getting both here, but it's more focused on the rehabilitation side. So
I don't know that that's more focused on rehabilitation.
That's an interesting take. Angus, what do you think?
I'd just be curious to see what the after effects are.
Totally.
Because, I mean,
Yeah.
50 years of experience in 5 minutes, and then what do you wake up with? You know, I mean, it's kind of
Yes.
like, I think of the movie The Butterfly Effect, you know, where all of that then has to be forced into your conscious, you know, present mind.
Right.
You know, so I think that if that is a thing, if it's something that's coming out, that it should be at least voluntary, you know, while we're studying the long-term effects, and, you know, because you don't want to go with this method and then come out of a 50-year incarceration only to be way worse.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because what happens, you know, and what's the success rate?
Well, you know what they're going to do it on. They're going to do it on death row people. They're going to do it on people that have life in prison, especially guys that have done something heinous when they're young. This is who they're going to try it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of a thing which is, you know, is like a popular cartoon kind of aimed at adults, which is Rick and Morty, which I saw a clip from where a guy plays a video game, and it's very similar to this, where he puts on a like, you know, video headset, and essentially in the cartoon they show this guy living this massive life where he lives this full life, and then when he dies he wakes up from the game, and now he's back and he's like had children and all this life, and it's not real. And I was like, ooh, I wonder how that would all work out with someone.
Yeah, there's other kinds of movies and stuff that kind of work based off of that.
Exactly.
All of it happens to coincide with a dystopian future where you own nothing, and, you know.
This is my point.
Tell it.
This is my point. But I mean, you could see how they would reprogram people into whatever they want them to be, Manchurian Candidate or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it'd be very interesting to see how this would roll out. But I think people would probably jump at the chance instead of having to really live it, because they're thinking, oh, I'm going to live this in my mind, but physically I'm going to come back out and be a young man again and be strong. So yeah, I'll do it. You know what I mean? I think people will sign up left and right, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it's the option of like 100 to life or, you know, 30 minutes in the tank,
Yeah.
and then you go to a nice comfy bed somewhere in an institution, right? Because it's the same way a lot of people try to do the insanity plea just so they can get out of the prison sentence.
Of course.
Potentially it'd be the same concept of like, well, you go do this reformation program that we have,
Right.
and then you get to go to this rehabilitation place. Like, you know, I don't know. If I got the option of like 100 to life or like potentially a few years in the bin, I might do the bin.
Yeah.
You know,
And get your brain scrambled up. Yeah.
that's
it's
the
sad.
other scary thing though.
see,
You,
yeah,
you
and
related
that's
it to
exactly-
acid trip.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of people do those big acid trips and they come out totally different, never the same, and not always for the better.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could end up being where it's 6 of one, half a dozen. You know, that it really doesn't matter because you come out and you're so broken that you spend the rest of your life as a vegetable anyway.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to be still investigated and put
And
together
for
with it.
sure that I think
I'm
people
sure.
are they're investing in the concept that it could be successful, because the prison world is worth tons of money, you know, and people make tons of money off private
Yes.
prisons. So this is one of those things that they would do in the hopes that the people would use this, because prisons take up time and energy and money and space and all that stuff, and whereas this would not. So,
I would like to see it though in the vacation space. How cool would that
And
be?
I think that's where the other end of it would go, is that once they mastered how this would go, then you would go in for 3 minutes and actually, oh, dude, I had 6 months off from work.
Yeah, instead of pain, you get the pleasure.
For sure. And you had an island and you did whatever, and then it'll definitely go to that side. For sure it will. Which brings in the spiritual element of then what will that do to us spiritually? Because people can go in, and that's worse than a drug, dude. It's going to pick whatever fantasy you want to live for 6 months, and you're paying these people this crazy money. But you don't have to live. You don't have to live spiritually. People think it's like a timeout.
Yeah.
And they'll think to live that way, like, oh, I can live however I want because there's no real ramifications. And then I'm gonna come back to the real world and live like a normal person. So heaven help us, man.
That's
to
right.
have those with the morality, to live our morality even in our dream sequence.
That's right.
Than we have in our reality.
Total Recall.
That's it. You guys get it. All right, I don't want to jump a little bit into something. I saw a guy that I've talked to you guys about before. It's a friend of ours named Chris. Shout out Chris Sasser. He is at day 88 today of learning how to skate at 44 years old. And so he runs Skate Sarajevo, a skate shop that's there in the city. And he is learning to skate in his 40s. Now, I know how to skate. You know how to skate from when we were young. Angus, did you ever ride a board at all?
No.
Okay, so this would be like you doing it.
Well, my dad was a pediatrician, so I wasn't allowed to do anything that had potential for injury. So if my dad had treated more than 5 people on any one thing, we weren't allowed to do it.
Well, what I appreciate about Chris is that he has this big apparatus by posting every day on his Instagram of like, hey, are you going to keep skating tomorrow? Like he hit and slammed really hard, and people are like, is there going to be a day, whatever day that was, like day 45? Is there going to be a day 46? You know, and so he's like gone through those days and kept going, kept skating and stuff.
Love it.
The question I had for you guys is, what skill would you be willing to learn publicly every day for a year? What do you think you'd be willing to learn? Because you got to remember, you're going to look stupid sometimes. You're going to like not know how to do it. You'll have wins as well.
Yeah, there's a lot. So
Yeah.
I'd like to learn how to surf.
Okay.
I'd like to learn how to surf.
That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah, because I thought, I skateboarded a long time.
For sure.
I thought I would be able to snowboard. First, 15 feet, I died 10 times. You know what I mean? Didn't even make it past 15 feet without breaking myself off.
Absolutely.
But yeah, surfing would be super cool.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't have an ocean out here, so that's all hypothetical.
Of course. But I mean, even then, as someone who did surf for years, it's like you'd walk out, there's no waves, bro. Like, so you have to make a decision. Are you going to paddle out or go and chase a wave somewhere? So that'd be intensive.
Yeah. I think if I were to, if it was a real concept of starting now, is there something that I wanted to learn that I'd be willing to do publicly? I think I'd do something a little bit more personal in my growth, and it would be either my relationship with Christ,
okay,
in a way that I could grow that publicly, or my role as a husband and a father, and just becoming better intentionally every day, and in a public way, which is so terrifying to me in general, right? Because
Sure.
I've always grown up what happens inside of this family stays inside of this family. This is our home. Nobody needs to know our business because this is our business, not everybody else's.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
So the concept of people putting stuff out in the open of their whole lives already is crazy to me.
Is that the Italian in you?
Potentially mind your business.
We don't
you know
talk
what
about the family.
yeah. Yeah, stay out the way. See.
That's it. I think that'd be an interesting one. The one that came to mind for me was memorizing whole books of the Bible, because it's man, it'd be super tough. Because I know guys that have done it, but it's rote. You're just you just go and go and go. And I know some guys that have done it in original, in the Greek or the Hebrew. So they'll learn it.
Wow.
And they're doing it that way, like somebody doing a bat mitzvah or bar mitzvah kind of a thing. Angus, anything you think right off top?
Aside from those things, I think those are both fun. One that I don't think anybody would enjoy watching is I've always wanted to learn the bagpipes. So I could do that publicly, but they may say go back privately.
It'd be awesome if you had cats on a fence or something where it's responding to your bagpipes.
Oh,
so
that's good.
bagpiping everywhere live would be amazing. People would tune in for that.
That would be
fun. Just suddenly you appear. It's just a camera set in a whatever.
Go to Tent City in downtown Phoenix or something.
But it's not that pretty when you start. It's a lot of
yeah. That's my whole point.
I was in Glasgow one time when we were in the Olympics in 2012 in London, and throughout the UK they had the Olympics all over the UK. But we were in London, and then we went up to Glasgow, and they had the drum and bugle corps finals. So it's the drum lines, and it's beautiful. I played drumline for years, so I was like really infatuated. But amazing bagpipers. I mean, like the best guys in the world were all there. Wow. And we were right on the main square where they signed the armistice to stop like World War I, I think. And so like this whole process, we were like just out the windows, just staring at them, and like this huge sound and drums. It was awesome.
That's
dude.
wild.
Incredible. Yeah. It would not start that way.
No, absolutely not. There's, but for somebody who acknowledges that they're at the beginning, I will say that there's nothing worse than a bagpipe player who plays horribly but thinks they're doing a great job.
That's a great point. Nah, very good. Very good. J-Bo, you got something in mind, man? Something you wouldn't mind doing for a year online publicly?
Day trading.
Day trading, okay.
Yeah. Well, I just think, especially if you were online, there's so many young people that want to know how to do it.
Right.
That like, not only would you get viewership, but if you actually learn how to do it effectively or be like profitable from it,
right.
then I mean, you make money. So
Win-win.
Honestly,
my boy's after the bag.
So honestly, that might not be a bad shout, dude. If you did like $10 every day and just said, "Hey, I'm investing $10 every day," and did that as a series, that'd be really interesting.
That's what I mean. Or you could run prop accounts, like if you got enough PR from like actual people, and then you're working with like 10, 50K. That's, I mean, it's not your money, but you keep like a decent amount of the dividends that you make.
For sure. So. But I think it would start in a small way. So that's a really interesting idea, actually.
Yeah.
On the investment side, that'd be really cool. Well, shout out to Chris. Keep going, Chris. Keep learning to do the stuff. He was doing ramps and I think reverts or something today.
Where's he at?
He's in Sarajevo. So he's in Sarajevo. So he's like rocking. They're like ground floor on skate over there, man. Because the wars and everything that happened, through the 80s and 90s. So it's like this whole thing where these guys are now skating in the middle of town square and hanging out and doing some cool stuff. So they're kind of on the front end of that over there in the skate community.
Wow.
Which is really rad.
I love it. I love
exactly. They're even seeing a new skate park that's hopefully going to be built here in the next year or so.
Sweet.
They're in the city, which they kind of petitioned with the mayor and all the different people. Which is
Lord be
cool.
praised.
I know, it's amazing. Cool. All right. Something recent that we've seen has been the Christianizing of everything. Obviously, we know that we have a faith in Christ. That's where our hope lies, is in Jesus. But it's interesting how when they market to Christians, how everything was like, it's a Christian this or Christian that.
Sure.
We had people in the past, they're like, oh, are those pants Christian? Because they had like a cross on them. And you're like, no, it doesn't mean that everything that's made from chrome hearts is like Jesus loving.
They're affliction.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. And so, you think about that kind of stuff. Obviously, we have Christian schools, we have other Christian things like that, Christian movies and things like that, Christian music. But something recently that I saw was the Christian energy drink Yahweh. Did you guys see this?
I did.
What do you think about that?
I did. It's very interesting.
Did you try it?
No, I did not. I haven't even seen it like for sale other than on online platforms.
Okay.
Have you seen it out?
I haven't seen it out. No, I have not seen it out. But I saw where they were marketing it at.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't be against trying it.
Okay.
I definitely do think that whenever I see intentionality from a company of like, they have a purpose.
Right.
And it's not just to put money in their pockets, which granted, you run a company, you run a business, you should be compensated for the time, energy, and effort.
Profit, sure.
But like, it's kind of like our church, right? Like we do bring in money to continue what we do, but also to expand and do better, bigger things other places.
Right, sure.
So like seeing intentionality in different companies in that regard incentivizes me to then invest into that company, even if it's kind of like Safeway versus Walmart. Like I know Walmart has cheaper prices, no questions on everything there, but Safeway's unionized with their cashiers. I'm a union member. I'm going to go to Safeway every time.
Okay, interesting.
That's just the way I do. You know what I mean? I know that they take better care of their people at Safeway in the long term than they do at Walmart. So I would always rather pay the extra $1 to take care of the community.
Oh, that's interesting.
In the same way that like that energy drink, depending on what their purpose is in designing this drink, if it's not just to line their pockets with cash, but to actually expand the kingdom in an intentional way, then yeah, I would love to invest my money in consuming that product.
That's interesting. That's a good take. One of the things I saw was interesting. They were marketing it kind of and showing how theirs is intentional, that they're praying over their stuff. And they showed how something like, what's the water brand? That Liquid Death. how Liquid Death was having like witches come and pray over their items. So it's not that it's not manufactured correctly; it's just water in a can. But the idea is that they were actually paying like these witches to come and pray these prayers and do these incantations over their product in their warehouse, which I thought was a really weird take. I mean, I know on the marketing side, it's all like kind of heavy metal side, but I thought it was really weird that they would go to that length to do something. And so for that reason, I think that, the other side of that, obviously we believe in the power of prayer. I don't think that the energy drink is going to be more healthy than any other energy drink.
Sure.
But I do think that, having an intentionality with a purpose is a good thing. Though I think naming it Yahweh is interesting because most, Jews won't even pronounce the name of God, which is, so that's why in the writings they will actually just use YHWH because that just takes the place of the word that they would use, which would be Yahweh, which is the breath of God.
Yeah, that's wild.
Interesting idea. Angus, would you drink it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for a good, for a fun gimmick, and I love to try new energy drinks. I love to try new things in general.
Yeah.
And I think it's great if there is something behind the gimmick. If they have, something that they're doing that's larger, have a mission that's, that's a positive thing. But I could really care less one way or the other what it's called. If it's a good drink, it's a good drink.
Yeah. Do you think they missed the boat by not calling it Jesus Juice?
Well, if they didn't, that means there's still time.
That's probably true.
Still time.
True.
So directly to that Liquid Death.
Yeah.
I loved Liquid Death. Like the flavors of their drinks, I loved them. They're super, like, they don't have heavy sweeteners. It's all sweetened with agave and all these other things. So I used to, like, you scan it on those health apps, and they're usually, like, some of the best ones.
Like Yucca or something.
Yeah.
Sure.
I saw them doing some advertising about, like, there's demons in every can. It's like, it's just weird, bro. Like, why you gotta, like, it's same thing. Why do you have to take it to this extent? I understand the marketing side. Like, I remember back before I was saved, like, they had one where it's like some like, I don't know, medieval dude running around with an axe just chopping people up by a river and then takes the water and he's like, Liquid Death.
Right.
And I was like, sick. I'm going to go get me a can. Right. But now that I'm looking at it from a different perspective, I'm like, bro, you're weird. Like, this is doing too much.
Yeah. And I agree. I think it's really bizarre that they would go that length. It must obviously align with his personal values who owns the company, because if not, why would you do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To go to that end. I mean, I understand the marketing of like, oh, it's extreme, it's rad lifestyle, whatever it is, like this metal edge. But to do that far is really bizarre.
Yeah.
Super weird. So, all right, some other things that are Christian that I just seen recently that's got popular is Jesus Raves. Have you seen this?
No.
Yeah, like EDM concerts.
Yes.
Like all Christian.
EDM.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
It is actually pretty dope.
I don't like that kind of music, really.
Oh, I do.
But I
too.
love the intentionality behind it, right? All these people that used to live that life
Yeah.
are now transitioning over and creating a new space where it's a worship to the Lord and not, probably a lot less drugs going on at these Jesus raves.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Let's hope so. I think it's actually pretty fire because it's like a pumped up worship set. You know what I mean? Like, they're going for it. So, Angus, what do you think?
No, I agree. Because I do like that kind of music. I think that it's, especially if it's more of a drug-free environment and all of that, because I think
Lord help us if it's not.
Keep saying if, which I don't like.
well, but I mean, because you don't know.
That's true.
True.
It's a good point.
I would like to assume,
Right.
but you would also not like to
right.
bring your children to it and find out that you're wrong.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
They're like, unfortunately, this is actually a really high Molly taking
Yeah.
area.
But
oh, no.
You want to try some Jesus juice, man?
but with the music and stuff, you're gonna have glow sticks and all the fun stuff. It's gonna have a pretty cool party atmosphere, I think.
I think it'd be pretty fun.
So-
Javo, what do you think? You think that would sync with younger generation?
I mean, it's like, what's the main difference though?
I think it's the theme of the music. It's really like the message in the music is the real difference.
So I mean, is it just like lyrics are the only thing that changed?
I think so. Yeah, because the music is still EDM. It's still very much like the drop and all the other stuff. It's just the message within the music. Some of it is like EDM version of worship songs, but other of it's not. It's just songs.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a cool idea in theory. I guess the separating factor would just, I don't know, kind of be how like rowdy they let people get, you know what I mean? Versus like, I mean, people, because I feel like people could still party and stuff even with like off of drugs.
Sure.
But I also feel like there's enough music in the EDM community that's kind of just like instrumentals besides, and like maybe like a one-liner before a drop. Especially at stuff like Tomorrowland, where people would kind of just like mix in a bunch of instrumentals and then throw like in a one-liner to get a crowd going. But I feel like people just feel music more. So I mean, maybe I think like especially doing neo-Christian audience like within my generation, that's kind of all like, oh, you know, we're shifting towards like this attitude, like you were talking about before, where it's like everything's Christianized in a way. Then yeah, I feel like that could work to a newer market.
Well, we know Christian hip hop, Christian metal. We've talked about that before, Gage, and Angus, even Jabo. We've talked about that a lot. I run a lot of those playlists. I was playing a Christian metal one in the truck the other day. Whenever I pulled up to somebody and rolled down my window, and it's like, rah, rah. People were like looking at me with these big eyes, and I was like, it's Christian. And I turned it down like this.
God is good, baby.
The Lord be praised. How we doing?
Come to church.
That's right. That's right.
You want to come to my church,
So
bro?
here's the question. What thing do you think should go Christian next?
That's
Politics.
good. Woo! Dropping heat.
Oh, man.
Dropping
That's-
heat.
That's a hot take. I like that.
What should go Christian next? Some of the Western churches in America.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of I've seen it constantly on social media platforms is, you know, God being accepting of everybody however they are and all these other things.
Yeah.
And they're losing the true message of the gospel and repentance.
Yeah, redemption and holiness and living for Christ.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's very, very valid.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd love to see the entirety of the Western church get back to the true values of the Christian culture and faith.
That's a great point. I do love how so much of the arts have been very much that way. I know, Angus, you were talking about screw tape letters, which actually I was just looking about. We're going to talk a little bit, I think, about next week. C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, so C.S. Lewis wrote a book called The Screw Tape Letters. It's an incredible book. You can get it audio. You can read it, which I highly, highly recommend. But it was so what C.S. Lewis did for this one is he climbed into the minds of demons. And so he wrote from the perspective of demons. And so humans are called the patient. And so it's
Screw tape talking to Wormwood.
So Wormwood is is this person's demon, and he is writing to his uncle Screwtape, who's a more senior demon, trying to get advice and different things and reporting back on, you know, how it's going with his particular patient, you know, and how he's getting in between him and his mom, and just different things like that.
Right.
So it's very cool, and coming here in February is a staged version of that, and it's
Interesting.
It's such a good version of the show.
So they're doing a stage play about this very book, which is it. I mean, it's dark, right? It's written from a dark perspective, but it's written by a Christ follower who is trying to illuminate the plan of the enemy that's used against us. And he's like, you know, I'm not like part of the advice is don't push your person into the big sins that are obvious. Push them slowly, consistently in the small things. And then what happens is they'll eventually gravitate right towards the very thing you want them to accept. Yeah. But they're not naturally just going to jump and take on this other thing. So there's some real wisdom within that book from the other side. So very insightful.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was the one book that he was like, it's the one and only time I'll ever write like that again, because he did not like climbing into the mind and, you know, of a demon.
Of the enemy, right, for sure. So very
interesting concept.
It is, because then you have the other things he's written, obviously, you know, famous stuff like Narnia, but even more specifically, Mere Christianity, and like these books that are really great concepts on faith and about how we should live our life out with Jesus and our proximity, our closeness to him, which is amazing. Thing to go Christian. Yeah, it'd be hard to say, you know, so much of the stuff I've seen, you know, is done kind of cheesy, where it's like we take the marketed value, you know, thing and like turn a Starbucks into a, you know, whatever, like, you know, some Christian cheese version. Which I understand why they were doing that. They're like, oh, I'm going to take something popular and just make it Christian version, which I get that. But it comes across kind of corny. And then it's like, you know, then you as a person, you're like, well, am I cool with this? You know what I mean? It makes it weird as a Christ follower. I know forever, one of the things that I pushed against when I was young was I didn't really like Christian radio, because it was like kind of this, it wasn't worship at the time. It was very much more like Christian artistry, which wasn't my style of music. I listened to more EDM and rap and metal and punk rock and stuff like that, which there was Christian versions of that, just never played on the radio. So it's more like, you know, these kind of wispy songs, which there's a place for all of that. It just wasn't my jam. And so I was kind of like, dude, I didn't like Christian radio as it played. And so like people would be like, oh, it's played on Christian radio all the time. And I would just look at them blank, dude, because I had no context because I never listened to it. Yeah. But I was listening to Christian music, just not that.
See, I think that plays directly into kind of what I was just talking about of, you know, being accepted as you are. You know, there's certain things in context that are okay. Like, same thing with the music. Like, I feel like it's a standard of what people want you to be or what they want you to want. But then there's like, well, that's just not what I'm into.
Right.
And not being into that in that way is okay. Right? But there's different things that aren't okay. But like I 100% agree. It was so hard for me in the beginning because like I'd said on a podcast another time where it's like it's just so corny. Everything was so corny to me whenever you got into the Christianity side.
Which is why you only listen to worship music for a year because you're like, I didn't know there was
I didn't
options.
know anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know anything else. And it wasn't even that the worship music was corny. You know, it was a great way for me to spend that intentional time literally just worshiping the Lord, right? It wasn't for the music. It was for me to have that personal time with God, which then helped me get into enjoying the music for what it was. But aside from that, you know, like it's okay to like Christian metal, it's right. And Christian metal isn't bad just because it's not the status quo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not that standard that was set originally, like on the radio.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where that correlation in my mind just came from of like, you know, it is okay to not be the same as everybody in certain ways, but there are things that we have to collectively come around in our values and stand with each other on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that that's where we all want to be in our faith is that we are agreeing together in the message
Called
and the
to
core
be, baby.
principles, but doesn't mean that the method by which we share it has to be the same. So I think that's 100% where that's at. Thinking about some of the artistry, obviously we're very much pro expression of Jesus and arts and all the different avenues, music and film and digital. I think that's great. Here's just some of the top songs, worship songs of 2025. I want to see if you guys knew these songs or you don't know them because this is interesting. We do sing a lot of these, but not all of them. So at our church, so it's kind of an interesting thing. I asked ChatGPT, like, what are some of the top Christian songs from 2025? And this is the list. So give me a yes or no if you've heard these. Have you heard Holy Forever by Chris Tomlin?
Yes.
Yeah, very popular song. How about Gratitude from Brandon Lake?
Come on.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know the
names.
the names to a lot of the songs.
I've watched you with your hands up in the sanctuary to that song. You've heard it.
I think we should have you name it, Gage should sing it. And
Oh,
then
wow.
Yeah, we'll do that off camera, Angus.
The next one is Firm Foundation by Cody Carnes.
That's good.
So you guys know that. He won't, you know.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Wait, how'd it go again?
Firm Foundation. Yes.
Okay.
Come on. I'll
A
sing it.
little
I'm
bit
not
more, a
scared.
little bit more.
I'm not scared of
Do
you.
I gotta? Here, you sing. I'll jump in with the guitar.
Are you gonna get an air guitar?
That's what my uncle did to me. He pretended like he could play the guitar. He got it for me for like my 12th birthday.
Is
or
this
whatever.
the same one you fist fought?
No, different one. He's like, all right. What song you want me to play? I was like, we'll play this. He goes, all right, we'll start singing. I'll jump in. Bing, 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 bing. Bing, 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 bing. All right.
He didn't know how to play at all.
I didn't know at all. I was like, I thought you could play. He's like, I didn't know how to play good, but I could strum it.
That's amazing. All right, what about Same God by Elevation Worship? Do you guys know that one?
Now I really do need you to sing it.
Yeah. There's some good ones in here. How about Goodness of God by Bethel Music?
Yes.
Okay, good stuff. I Thank God by Maverick City and Upper Room.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Super good track. How about Praise by Elevation Worship, Brandon Lake?
Come on.
It's a good one. It's like one of my short rotations. Like that's like on the way to church kind of thing. I just throw it in often. I'll throw in like a kind of a thing that has Upper Room and Maverick and Brandon Lake and Elevation and a bunch of different heads.
Some
in there.
heavy hitters.
And it's cool. I just put it on random and just let it rock. How about God Really Loves Us by Crowder and Dante Bowe and Maverick City? That's a good one. It's a little bit older. But it's a good one because a lot of the Maverick City aren't in the same group anymore, but it is a kind of an older one, but definitely good. Run to the Father by Cody Carnes.
Yes.
Good stuff. And then King of Kings by Hillsong. Is another
Yes.
one. Man, back in the day, Hillsong Worship, more specifically United, was one of their bands, and then Hillsong and Free. Man, we rocked all that stuff and used a lot of it, especially in worship. And then I used a lot of stuff from Planet Shakers, especially as we lived abroad. We did a lot of stuff in Paris with that and Alexandria with that, and then a lot of people out of the UK. We did a lot of their stuff too. So it wouldn't just be American-centric. It would be lots of things. And so it's interesting to see how like different places will start taking the wave and they'll start kind of leading the way. So like Australia for a long time was leading it for like over a decade. I would say they led the way, for sure, with Hillsong and Planet Shakers and others.
That's so cool.
Really cool. So it's very, very cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
they got some pipes over there, man.
Man, and anointed, it's unfortunate some of the things that happened organizationally with some of the churches that are there. But I will say the people themselves, man, are really anointed.
Hard
God
after
used them in
God.
a big way.
I love it.
Yeah.
Big impact. So, hey, we want to jump into this idea of community. Something we talk about here is the 7 C's. That is commitment, community, communication, competence, creativity, compassion, and celebration. Today, in talking about it, we want to talk about community. Excuse me, guys. Something we talked about this last week, but didn't get a chance to finish up on, was talking about this idea of church planting across the U.S. And it's interesting. I wanted to see how much of the U.S. you guys have actually seen. So here's some of the top 10 places in the United States. I want to get a yes or no if you've been there. So Javen, jump in with us too. Okay, Grand Canyon in Arizona.
Yes.
Jabo?
Yeah, I've been.
Lived here 90% of my life plus. Never been to the Grand Canyon.
Never been.
I went and
Gage.
built a hotel at the south rim of the Grand Canyon, 10 minutes away from the rim. Never went. I went and hunted.
Wow.
I hunted along the south rim of the Grand Canyon.
No way.
Never
man.
went and saw the actual canyon.
Seriously?
Yep.
That's incredible, man. Wow.
Wow.
How about Yellowstone National Park, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho?
Nope.
Me neither, man. I've been right near it, and I know that's by default. That means Javen hasn't been there. But I've been right there, but it just wasn't. We weren't able to go, and all the passes were sold for the day, et cetera, et cetera. But I'd love to go.
Yeah,
Beautiful,
same.
Yeah, same.
amazing. Statue of Liberty, New York. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Yes, I have. Jabo?
I've seen it from a plane, but I haven't actually been there.
Yeah, we've flown in and flown over it, but I've actually physically been in New York to see it. I haven't been in it. Have you been in it?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. Did you go up to the Crown?
No, when I went, it was closed. So I actually, when I was there, I actually also got to go to the observation deck of the Twin Towers, which was very cool. So on that same trip, which was really neat.
That is really neat.
Yeah. So
That's amazing. I never had the chance to do that, so that's pretty amazing. Wow. How about Yosemite National Park in California?
nope.
Like Half Dome and all that.
No, I don't
You
think
know,
I
where
have.
Yogi Bear lives.
Yeah, no, I've heard of the guy, but I've never gone to see him.
That's cool. I have been. I went to school in California. We went up there and did some like low level, like, bouldering around and stuff like that. We didn't get into the actual climbs, but really fun, very, very beautiful place. Jabo, you haven't been to Yosemite yet, have you?
No, not at all.
This is one of those things we'll have to add to the list. How about Walt Disney World, Florida? Jabo,
Yeah.
been there how many times?
I think 3 now.
I think you're right.
I think it's 3.
I think it is 3, which is a lot since it's
Yeah.
on the other coast. And
It
we've
was
actually been there.
like 19, 21, and then we just went this summer, so
That's right.
pretty cool.
So we've had a chance to go 3 times. Have you guys been Walt Disney World?
No.
Yes, twice.
Very cool.
No.
What was your favorite part?
Both times I did not take full advantage of the experience.
Got it.
And so the first time I went, I spent most of my time in the arcade with other friends.
Okay.
So didn't go on a whole lot of rides. And the other time, I was too hungover to
know what
make
you're
it
doing?
to make it to the park.
So your favorite part was
So-
churros?
It was a dark room was
Yeah,
my favorite
yeah,
part
yeah.
that second time. But
Of your Disney trip? I hear you.
yeah, so I really missed out on that. So I was there. I did 1 or 2 rides, I think, but it was kind of a wasted trip for me, unfortunately.
That I understand. All right. How about Las Vegas Strip in Nevada? Gage?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely been there.
Been there a handful of times.
Old school, new school, all of it?
All of it.
Okay. I'm down.
Fremont Street and the likes.
The whole thing. Did you get pickpocketed? Did
Kit
you
and
survive
caboodle.
it?
Nah, ain't nobody run up on me like that.
Challenge accepted. No, I'm just
Yeah, no, I'm gonna stay out of Vegas for a while now.
the pickpockets in the world just run up on you 100%.
Yeah, my folks grew up in Vegas.
That's right.
So I got a pretty good rundown when we went out there.
Yeah, all the things.
All of them.
Yep. Angus?
Yeah, I've been twice. Once I went on a family trip, and then once I went with you to a conference, and so we just went and walked on the strip to a restaurant. So,
Yeah, we were there for a church thing, which was pretty awesome. So we were there and ran around. That's right. I forgot that we did
yeah.
it together.
So again, I haven't spent a lot of time there at all.
Yeah, we walked through we walked through part of the strip on our way to go eat at Paris and sat out on the
nice.
on the terrace out there and had some good food. And then we got back in the car and went back to the airport. We were literally there one day.
That's wild.
Spent 75% of that at a church at a conference.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Dude, it reminds me. I went out to Vegas one time for my buddy. I talked about him on another one of these podcasts. Cheese Bomber from Germany.
Right.
He turned 21 in the States, and me, my dad, him, and his dad went out to Vegas together. All of us.
Oh wow.
And we spent his 21st in Vegas, and it was so funny because it's. I think 9:30, 10 o'clock rolls around. My dad's done. He's like, all right, I'm going to the room. I was like, all right, dude, peace. And, we're sitting in these bars, and I didn't have a lot of money at the time.
Sure.
So, a couple of the bars that we went into to drink, they would buy my drink.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, man, you Americans, you guys can't keep up with us.
Because your friends are
whatever.
German that are
Yeah,
there.
yeah. It's
sure.
like, you Americans can't keep up with us. Like, you're going to be going to bed soon just like your dad here. And I was like, all right, whatever. You'll see.
Oh, wow.
So it gets to be about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I bend down to tie my shoe walking through a casino. I look up and they're gone.
Oh, no.
They're gone. And so I would go to these.
Ghosted you?
Well, they were walking. We're all walking. I'm kind of behind them, and I bend down to tie my shoe. I look up and it's just
Sea of
crowds.
people.
Yeah, it's a sea. So my phone was dead.
Oh, no.
I knew where my room was, so I wasn't tripping. You know what I mean? I had a couple extra bucks, so I went and bought another 4 rack of those tall PBRs.
Sure.
And I was walking the strip drinking PBRs for another few hours.
Whoa.
And then I remember I sat down at a slot machine and just kind of hung out, and a prostitute came and tried to get me. And
Watch out for them toots, man.
it
They'll
was
come and get you.
crazy. Yeah, she walked up and she goes, "Hey, honey, you look like you need some company." I was like, "You do not look like free company." She's like, "Well, I'm not." I was like, "See you later."
Bye.
Yeah, bye now.
That's right.
So went into this Walgreens again afterwards, and I'm starving, don't have any money at this point. So I 5-finger discount.
Oh.
This it's a tray of meat and cheeses.
Wow. But you had to go back to that one. We talked about getting
Yeah, that was
on your
just
hand.
yeah. I 5-finger discount this tray of meats and cheeses
Oh my
from
goodness.
a Walgreens,
And this is the thing you're getting arrested for is stealing meat and cheese.
crazy, right? And so I finished walking around the strip a little bit more, and it's 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like,
Whoa.
I'm gonna go back to the room. And these Germans, my homeboys, they're laying in bed. They're just getting in bed, and I walk in, and the way my German buddy describes it, he goes, "We're laying down to go to sleep," and he comes in with freaking bacon. I got this tray of meats, and Gage comes in with some freaking bacon.
That's
Go,
funny.
"What's up?"
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was great because I was like, "Hey, I thought y'all were gonna, you know what I mean? I thought we were doing this all night. What are you guys doing?" They're like, shut up, we're going to sleep. I was like, all right.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it's like, Gage, did you get arrested trying to rob the Bellagio vault? No. I think I stole some meat and cheese from the Walgreens.
Gage, why are you in jail in Vegas? What did you do? I stole a charcuterie board from Walgreens.
It was definitely fresh and not made the previous week.
Yeah.
Jabo, you've been to Vegas probably a couple times, huh? Once at least?
Once in recent memory. You
Yeah.
might have taken me when I was really little.
Yeah, we did a bunch, yeah.
But yeah.
We took because we were speaking in churches in Vegas and had a bunch of people there. So I have pictures of Javen we stayed at the Trump Hotel because they didn't have a casino, so we stayed there.
Nice.
And we have pictures of him in this. I mean, it's Trump, right? So it's big mega bathtub. They had they had a TV in the mirror. Everything's gilded, and it's you could watch ESPN and shave. It was awesome, dude. But
Wild.
he was a little tyke. He was 2. So we had him in there, and man, he's the bubble bath was a pool for him. So
Sure,
he was
sure.
pumped on life,
Yeah.
splashing around everywhere, having a great time. But
Splish splash, J-Vo
But-
taking a bath.
my whole talk with Javen and his sisters, as we were walking down through the strip, as we're walking and looking at stuff and going to get a bite to eat somewhere, was, you notice how none of this stuff was built for free? And I just keep having this conversation about how everyone loses money in Vegas, how all this gambling has built these places to be marble and beautiful.
Yep.
And we were talking about that a lot. And so it drives home the point of like, hey, you don't want to be out here messing around with this stuff.
Oh, no.
We might be here in a place, but we've been in lots and lots and lots of cities across the world where they have another focus of what they're trying to do, and we can be redemptive of that. So it's not about the place necessarily; it's how you live in a place.
Tell it.
That's right.
So,
Tell it.
all right. Next place. Have you seen the Golden Gate Bridge in California?
Yes.
No.
It's in San Francisco. Javo?
Not to my memory.
He definitely has seen it. He's been across it many times, but that was as a young guy, so that's why he doesn't remember. Yeah, I mean, obviously as an adult, I went there a ton. I spent a ton of time in the Bay, all over the place. So I was in Sac, I was in the Bay, I was in East Bay, I was North Bay, like, you know, San Rafael. I was down in the city. I was all over the place. We spent a ton of time there, like months of there.
Yeah, my earliest is San Mateo. Earliest memories are San Mateo, driving across the Golden Gate Bridge every morning in my mom's Chrysler Sebring.
Wow, nice.
Going to school every day. I used to go get
top down?
Yeah, absolutely. Even in the winter.
Wow.
Even as it was like late fall, early winter, we'd drive.
brisk.
Yeah, it's brisk.
Fog.
I'd have the blanket over me and like another blanket and a stuffed animal up in the air going across the Golden. Yeah. Cool stuff. And then we'd stop and get a chocolate milk and a concha.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, every
that's
morning.
the Mexican side.
Yeah,
That's
money.
right.
That's
Come
money.
on. Pan dulce. What's interesting about that is that, you know, anybody who watched Full House, like that's the whole opening sequence of that show forever. You know, it's like, and they do the whole like Golden Gate Bridge. And, you know, there's the house that they're supposed to live in, which is actually a row house in San Francisco.
Which is also wild.
So, yeah, pretty crazy. It's one of my favorite walkable cities. It's so sad, like all the things that have happened there with the unhoused and the population there with dealing with drug addiction. So, praying for that city and for the people of that city. Turn to Jesus.
Amen.
So, Times Square, New York.
No.
Yes.
I have as well. Jabo?
I'm not.
Not yet. He hasn't done. He's done in and through the airports, but not in the city.
Yeah, I've never been to New York.
It's a pretty amazing place. Same thing. One of my favorite walkable cities because there's so much to see, and it's pretty incredible. It's very different. My first trip there, whenever we were first married to Times Square, and now are night and day.
Really?
It's so commercial and pretty and safe now, and like early doors. I mean, we got married in 2006. You know, it's like a long time ago, and so. Yeah, even then it had kind of been commercialized a little bit, but it still had a little bit of the scummy stuff. But back in the day, that place was not safe. That was like all your porn theaters and drug den stuff. Yeah, it was terrible. And then they kind of like figured out, hey, this is like a pretty cool spot. We should just take this over. And it got gentrified like overnight.
Whoa.
Pretty crazy. Angus, what was your experience there?
It was really cool. I went a couple times again when we were in New York for. So I was there once for Boy Scouts, and then I went there for a theater trip.
Yeah.
And so I haven't been there for quite a while. It was early 2000s.
Got it.
When I went as well. But it was great. You know, we went and saw some Broadway shows and
That's cool.
and did some things like that. It was very neat. Just a very cool experience. You know, ate at Michael Scott's favorite pizza place, Sbarro.
Sbarro.
That's funny.
I think it's a local place.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, it was very cool. We we ate at a spot there on Times Square that was a dinner theater. You know, our waiter was an actor.
Oh,
and
yeah, sure.
kind of drove the point home that this might not be the career field that I wanted to go in.
That's funny.
Listen, I spend more time here than I do at the acting.
And that was kind of what he did. He said that's why he chose that position, was because then he could at least still perform, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So
For sure. I've had a chance to see some shows as well, which is a really cool thing to go and to see there. I mean, it's amazing, right? Like to go. And we've looked at that even to try and go. And it's interesting. Celeste and I went during COVID times. We went in, I want to say 21. It was still COVID restricted there. And it was like very much like you had to have, you know, a mask and blah, blah, blah. And it kind of resurged. But we got to go see Lion King. And it was incredible, man. Like to see the performance, to see all, it was incredible. Like a very, very cool experience. And we have friends that live in the city. My cousin lives in the city and a bunch of people. And so shout out to them. And so we got to walk, see my friend Ashley, and she was living in the city at the time, lived there for like a decade. And so it was really cool to go and spend time and just walk the city and have time with Celeste and I. So we had a great time. It was very, very cool. All right, how about the Glacier National Park in Montana?
No, never been to Montana.
I was there in summer though, so I did not get to see it. Like, we were right at the edge of the Glacier National Park. It's kind of on the northern end, but we got to see it, but which is really cool. So I didn't drive through it or into it and stuff like that, but got to see it. So, and Javen did whenever you were young as well. Do you remember any of that, Jabo?
No. I remember like nothing about any of the trips that we've taken in the U.S. besides like anything post 2019.
Like when you got back.
Yeah, essentially. Even when I was like 7 or 8, I remember like nothing.
Which we did a big trip. We went through North South Dakota, went through Montana, Wyoming. We went through that whole area.
Wow.
And did it as a massive road trip. So he has pictures of himself next to all the signs of all those states, but you don't remember.
Yeah,
so.
Sure.
But it was a good time nonetheless. Washington, D.C. National Mall.
Nope.
Yes.
I have as well. Jabo?
Yeah, I went this March.
And how was it for you?
Oh, nice.
It was great. It was so cold when we went though.
Aren't you glad I made you take that heavy jacket?
Absolutely. It was, oh my gosh, it saved me so many
He was
times.
walking out the door, dude, no jacket, just a hoodie. And I'm like, son? I gave him one of my big, thick jackets from Europe that was like small when I used to be aerodynamic. I tell people, man, I have, I have a body like a SEAL, just not the Navy type.
Yeah.
I like the other kind.
Wow.
But
Wow.
I used to be a lot more aerodynamic and wore a smaller size, which is his size.
Wow.
So,
Hold on. Can we just touch on that for a second again?
come on, baby.
I got the body of a SEAL, just not the Navy.
Aerodynamic through the water, baby. Come
Okay,
on.
come on. Come on, tell it, boy.
Got that front fin, baby. Come on.
All right. Okay.
All right, I digress. But in doing so, just gave him a jacket on the way out. But you guys had a great time.
It was fantastic. There were a ton of people that got sick just because of how drastic the change was. I think it was still like 85 over here when we left as like the average. And then we go over there, it was like sub-zero, I'm pretty sure, in the morning. And we landed at like 5 in the morning. So it was like really cold.
And you guys ran around outside everywhere.
Yeah, literally like all day. So, I mean, yeah.
Pretty amazing.
It was great though. I loved it.
It was amazing. You said you did get a chance to go. What was your favorite part?
It's really hard. It's just very cool being in that, in that space that's kind of the center of power for our country. And I think my favorite thing was probably the memorials.
Yeah.
Going through because, at first I didn't think it would be very impressive or anything to go and see these things, but then to realize what they stand for. I remember the Vietnam Memorial was very impressive to me. The wall and just seeing all of those names was really stood out. But going and seeing these monuments that were made to remember these great people in our history as well as these important events and stuff, that was very impressive. And it's just it made me realize how much I did pay attention in history, but also how important our history really is.
That's right. No, absolutely. I think one of those things that I love is, I pray for people that live in that city all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have some friends that are part of churches like National Community Church, which is Mark Batterson's church. I spent some time with some of his team in Cyprus, and they are amazing people. Knew some people that went from New Mexico and started a church there called Citizen Church. Amazing church, and they've done a really good work there. And so there's some different pieces, where different ones are doing work in the city, in capital, and I think it's amazing. It's like a seat of power right there amongst all that stuff. So that's one of my favorite things too, is walking and being there. Celeste and I went and got a library card for the Library of Congress. Oh, wow. We got to go inside. Jabo, did you do that?
I did, yeah.
What'd you think?
It was cool. I actually had to get my teacher to sign off on it because you needed like parental permission because I wasn't 18.
Right.
But they don't check for any verification. So I just had like somebody sign off on it and they're like, okay, yeah, you're good to go. And I think I still have it with me in like a wallet somewhere. But
yeah, it's really cool. I mean, you get like a real ID and then you can walk inside and check out books. I mean, you can't take them from there, but you can check to use them. So lots of law students are there. Lots of people were studying specific things because you need old documents. You want to see the originals, you can do that. Yeah. But it's like just like you see in one of those movies. What's the one with Nick Cage, Jabo?
National Treasure.
National Treasure, the second one where they run right through the middle, and I'm like, I've been right there. I've been there.
We got to go in there too. It's very cool.
That's still really,
yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's very cool. Being inside the congressional building, is also very cool.
Very cool. Yeah, I've been in the rotunda and stuff.
And being in those places where the fathers of our country stood, I think is something that's really cool to me. Is just to know that you could be standing in the same place.
Absolutely. Yeah. To be there, to be in the Supreme Court, and you're like, whoa. Like, this is where they make the decisions.
Yeah.
Is right here.
Yeah,
So
No.
it's
super cool.
pretty amazing. So, man, we pray for these places all the time. As we're talking about church planting, we talked about before, like all the things you need to plant a church, which is like identity and online power, like marketing and concepts. And then you have to have all the equipment to set up, and all that's before you do any ministry at all, just to
Yeah.
legitimize yourself. So the real thing I was thinking about was in building community one to another. One of the things that I've really taken away from this last year is one of my highlights has been spending those times around conversation with people and how that really is what the church plant is. I mean, you need all the other stuff to legitimize who you are and bring people that are seeking to a thing that's legitimate. But the real nuts and bolts of it is the conversations like we're having right now. So it's a huge deal. So I think it's pretty amazing. What do you think was the turning point for you in having a conversation? Both of you have a similar conversation about coming to Christ as an adult. What was the conversation that really pivoted everything for you?
Well, for me, it was actually Christian comics that brought me to Christ.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, my now father-in-law, he collected just a bunch of resources
Okay.
and things like that, and so I had a lot of really good conversations. So I could point to any of those as all lead up events and things like that. And so Annie's parents were instrumental in that. But really for me, it was reading these Christian comics. I have them in my office, actually.
That's awesome. It's like comic books?
Comic books, yeah.
Okay, wow.
And so, and he had the whole collection of them, and it broke so many of my questions down into such digestible and understandable parts.
Wow.
That I was able to get that answer, because again, this was early on in the internet and things
Sure.
like that. So, so I was able to get answers without having to ask what I felt were stupid questions.
Right.
And
And you're
so,
getting in an art form that you liked.
yeah.
Wow.
And so,
That's
so
powerful.
So it was
That's
really
great.
cool. And each of the comics at the very end, they'd have the sinner's prayer and stuff. And so that's how I came
Oh,
to Christ,
really?
was on a park bench at Phoenix College as I'm reading these Christian comics between classes.
That's powerful,
That's
man. Wow.
wild.
I didn't know that.
Lord be praised. That's so cool.
That's
Yeah.
crazy, man. We've been friends a long time, and I didn't know that was the decision-making moment for you.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I knew there's stuff with your wife and her have a faith background and all that as a testimony to you, but
All
that's
of that
super
stuff
cool.
led up, and it was just that those comics were the final step, because they put so many questions and so many things in straight lines for me
Right.
that I could understand, and it was in a non-threatening way.
Wow.
Because you can't really debate with the comic, and that was the other thing too. There were some things that I read and that it challenged me, and because I couldn't argue or debate with it, I had to go and sit with it.
Process it.
And I would mull it over, and eventually those knots would kind of work themselves out, and they'd be like, no, it does make sense. In fact, that makes more sense than what you previously thought.
Yep.
That's really good. I had a friend of mine named Mark, and he was with us in Paris on our team there that launched the Bridge International Church. Mark's from Wisconsin. He's now an engineer, works a job, doing very well. Mark, during college, was a pizza guy, and he was going to these places, and he would they would all people had the same order on certain nights. So on Fridays, you get your people. And so they all kind of grabbed for the same one. When they would order in, they knew they were going to get a good tip if they went to that house.
Yeah.
So he was grabbing for this one and got the ticket and got out the door with the pies and took him to the guy's place. The guy always gave a good tip. It was like $10 or $20 or whatever it was. He was giving us a good tip. And so he gave the tip, and then he also gave a track to Mark. And he said, hey, this is something you want. This is something that will change your life. And he handed it to him. He said, God bless you. And Mark was like, what? And he read it and started crying at the doorstep of these people's house while he's delivering pizza. And he took that thing home, which as a kid, I grew up in church, man. As a pastor's kid, I was like, dude, I don't want to hand out these stupid tracts. This is cornball. But to your point about reading a Christian comic book or reading a tract, when he told me this, I almost fell out of my chair when I heard it. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, dude. He gave me this thing, and it was so powerful. It was a simple tract that people pass out, four spiritual laws, or one of these classic ones that you read. And he held it like a precious thing. And then he actually went back the following week and caught that guy's ticket again. Guy always bought pizza on Fridays. Takes it to his door, and he's like, can you explain this to me? And the guy was like, yes, I can. And they sat right there and had a conversation about Jesus. Isn't that
so
cool?
That's
so
awesome.
To me, that's what planting a church is. And
That's
I mean, you
huge.
need all the other apparatus to get to those conversations sometimes, but it's really about the nuts and bolts of that. And so that
so
was
good.
really powerful to me.
That's
I was
so
like-
good.
So when we started doing stuff like, here we pass out door hangers. We live in suburbia, right? So it's like infinite suburbia. We go and pass out door hangers on places that are welcome to it. So no soliciting. We pass those houses, but we go and put door hangers out. And it's similar to, we pray over the door hangers. As stupid as the door hanger is, we pray over them and say, God, use this, let it fall into the right people's hands. We used to do the same thing with our invitations. We would do flyers and make really nice high gloss flyers and pass them out in Paris in the metros. And we pass them out outside the metro and into the metro. It was hilarious because we get kicked out by the cops all the time. The metro police would kick us out of the metro, and then the cops on the street would kick us back into the metro. And so we just bounce back and forth.
That's
It
great.
just burn up our
The great
thousands.
carousel of Paris, yeah.
But we had people slap them out of our hands and spit in our face and cuss at us and do a bunch of things. But what was interesting about that is we were targeting specifically places that were very high in internationals. So your math is you're going to get them into the hands of internationals. So we were doing that. We would walk out and see like 100 of our things just put in the trash. And it's like, okay, we still prayed over them. We had people hold on to a flyer for 6 months and then go to church, get saved, and they invited 20 other people that had ended up dedicating their life to Christ. And all those people as a result of one flyer.
Yep.
And we were like dumbfounded that this one guy, he got a flyer. He was searching for God. He's South African. He lived all over the place. He's an engineer. He's wrote code. He did all sorts of things. A photographer, brilliant guy, good friend. But his dedication to Christ, everything in his whole sphere of influence, he's very influential. So his whole sphere of influence, when he changed, catalyst for everybody else around him.
Amazing.
And they all started searching God. So many of them got tied into the church. So they might get saved, but then they're off taking another job in another country. But man, that moment now transplants them with the gospel into another place.
Yeah.
Super cool. Thinking about, it's not just about the place, though it is the place. It's also about the conversation and the person in the place at the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So powerful thing. Powerful
Absolutely.
thing. Hey, another one of the C's that we talk about is competence. We've been talking about a couple of those things. One of those books is The Power of Habit. And you see this one here by Charles Duhigg. And we're talking about a little bit about habit forming and what that looks like. Today, we want to talk about the golden rule of habit change. And we talked about how when you make a new habit is cue, routine, and then reward, and how we have to start those things off. We were talking about that in previous podcasts. But the golden rule is you can't extinguish a bad habit. You can only change it. What do you think about that?
I agree with it. I would say for the most part, drinking is one of those that, that I come to. I'd have to think about that a little bit to see if I changed it.
I think their math on it is, or the scientific side of that is, that you can't get away from it because you have to change the cue that changes the habit, which changes the reward. So you actually have to shift what your reward becomes. So you're shifting, you're not breaking that habit because the cue will still be there. The reward will still be there if you go down those paths.
Gotcha.
But the problem is you're now resetting what your reward is. So you're resetting that process, which resets your cue to your habit, and it changes your reward.
I think I definitely did that with what you were talking about, drugs and alcohol. It also changed the cue, right?
Yeah.
So like the reward itself changed the cue, and one of the things that I started leaning into is like cooking and eating and all these other like food related things. Just because I like food in general, I like cooking. My family owns a butcher shop. I like playing.
And you're a
with
good cook.
I like playing with it. You know what I mean? So like it changed. It went from like, I don't like the things that I'm thinking about right now, so I'm going to drink or smoke about it. Or, I don't like the situation at home, so I'm going to drink or smoke about it.
Right.
I'm bored, so I'm going to drink or smoke about it.
Yeah.
I'm angry. So, list goes on.
Yeah.
So like it changed, like my cues started changing.
Right.
Right. Like, and funny enough, once I stopped the drugs and alcohol, a lot of those cues weren't even in my life anymore.
For sure.
But yeah, that was definitely one thing where, and my wife will attest to it for sure, of like, I put down these things, but I definitely picked up a fork.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
you know?
Sure, and
Yeah.
that can be a habit, and that's why so often that's why they're talking about you have to be careful on when you reset. You have to be intentional to change your cues so that you don't do that very thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because like especially with people that smoke, both smoking will also be something that suppresses your appetite, but also as oral fixation. So you get very used to this manner of going to your mouth with something, and so it's just over and over. So people replace it with a fork or with eating, and it becomes that whole piece. I think a lot of people fight that.
Yeah.
For sure when they quit smoking. It's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
But huge thing on changing our habits and thinking about that process.
Yeah.
So it's
for
about
sure.
resetting the things that we want to do. Not that you're going to erase them, but instead you're going to change them to be something else. So think about that as you're building a new habit for your life, wherever you're going, whatever you're doing. The other book that we want to look at today is John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. We've been talking about this. This is the gold standard for leadership training. A lot of people use this as a basis and then kind of go from there. But one of the habits that we want to talk about today is the law of connection. Leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand.
It's good.
What do you guys think about that?
I think that's really good because I think that's one of the things that we also seek that from the Lord, right? Like, Lord, show me your face and show me your heart.
Right.
More than it's the position of our heart to want to see His heart and His hand in our, or His heart and His face in our lives before we seek out His hand.
Yes.
You know, I think it was such a pivotal moment for me because there were so many things I was like, Lord, like, will you please bless this situation? Lord, I don't know what I'm going to do here. Please give me your guidance. And then it shifted after a while, especially as I started digging deeper into worship.
Right.
Of like, Lord, I just want to know your heart. I want to know your face and what it feels like for it to shine on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the hand, I know you have your hand over me. That's not, I don't, it's not that I don't want it, but right now what I'm focused on is just seeing you.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. I think it's true as much as in our relationship with God, it is in our relationship with each other. But I think it's true. I think if people understand that you care, then they'll be willing to help you do anything.
Yes.
But if they don't know you care and just ask them to do stuff, they're not going to be motivated to help you unless it's alignment with whatever they want from whatever they're doing.
100.
So what's been your experience in being a leader, asking people to volunteer?
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
it's a mixed bag, to be honest. But I will tell you that that relationship can be the thing that gets somebody off of the fence from a no to a yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because especially in my area of ministry, which is children and youth ministry, for whatever reason, parents are terrified of children, or they're terrified of other people's children.
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
And, I mean, and you talk to so many people and say, hey, you want to come, just observe in kids' church.
Right.
And they go, white as a sheet. And they're like, kids terrify me.
Yeah.
And and so it can be tough. Asking for volunteers has been one of those areas in ministry that I've really been challenged in, just in a lot of different ways. And one of those is just because I'm so busy, a lot of times I will look at other people through the lens of my schedule. And so I assume that they're already as busy as I am. And, I'm much more of a Martha. So I'm like, well, I'll do one more lap.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and so I don't. So I have a really hard time asking.
Right.
That's a hard place to be in.
And that's one of those things that I've worked on, but it is tough. And it's even more tough if you're just going up and asking a stranger, hey, you want to come and help me do this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
And I'm in the same boat. I mean, Angus and I, man, a few of us, man, me, you, Jeremy, Josiah, a couple other guys that jump in, we'll knock out big projects because we're just tenacious to just not give up until it's done. But so much easier if we had another 5 hands.
Yeah.
And so that's been our issue. A lot of this stuff we're learning is to let go of that and empower more people to come alongside so that we could do something there.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I mean,
difference.
the connection that you can have with a person definitely can change that no to a yes, especially there's been times where people have asked me to do something and I don't want to do it. I don't feel like I have the time for it.
Right.
But I respect that person and I want to show up for them in the same way that I think they would show up for me.
Sure.
In a circumstance. So I make it work.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the same thing we try to emulate as we're doing our best to be leaders for others around us. Like in work, for me, it's so sometimes it's kind of easy, right? Because you just don't have to be a douchebag. Like that's
Yeah, don't be a jerk face. Like just
That's I mean, so many people in that position are, right? But that's the old school fitter mentality that so many of these guys still have.
Right.
Where it's like, I get and I respect the concept of like, I care about your future more than I care about your feelings.
Right.
I respect that. I understand it. But also, like, you can still talk to another grown man and get the message across with gentleness.
Sure.
Right? There can still be a gentleness in conversation with a grown man who's all about business to another one.
Right.
It
Doesn't have to be gruff and showing like posturing.
No, it doesn't
and all
have to
that
be.
stuff.
It doesn't have to be chest bumping. It doesn't have to be like knuckle dragging. Right? You don't have to be Neanderthalic with it.
Right.
But there's also there needs to be structure, discipline, and a willingness to be there for somebody. Right. Like there's somebody who I've worked with that like every once in a while he'll be like, dude, I got to go handle this, and he'll pull you aside like, hey, dude, like, is there anything I can help with? Are you good? Like, everything all right? Like, I know we're hot and heavy here, and I know it's like crunch time, but if you need time or you need something, let me know, and we'll get it taken care of.
Wow.
And that makes you like want to go the extra mile no matter what.
Yeah, because they're showing you
100%.
Their love for you and their heart for you instead of asking for just your help.
Yep. And so many times throughout my experiences, I've learned two things, right? I've learned who I want to be and who I don't want to be. And it's so nice to be able to pull different qualities from those people and put them into a toolbox that I'm going to utilize, and then the garbage can that I'm going to throw out.
So good, man. So good. I love that. Jabo, what do you think, man? As far as the law of connections, leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, if you don't have the heart of people behind what you're doing, whether that be the initiative or whether or not they trust you necessarily, yeah, definitely as a leader, I mean, you have no functionality to what you're doing because it's the support of the people that drives anything, whether it be business, whether it be even doing something like ministry. I mean, we need so many people to make what we run on Sundays possible. And even stuff like this, like the amount of hands that go into prepping all this stuff beforehand is like, it's great. We've had so many people clear out this workspace a ton of times and essentially restructure our entire church. So yeah, definitely. I think people do it because they care about the leadership of this church, because they're behind the initiative that they want to see instead of the functionality of how it all works.
That's a great point. I mean, somebody that's been on the podcast but is behind the scenes with us here and helping is Jeremy. He's part of our video. He's a video director and production guy for our church, and so he helps things that go that he's not even really has a part of as far as a hand in editing, but helps set it up. Yeah, exactly. Rapid fire questions for us to finish today. Just some of these things that we'll ask you guys to think about. I'll chime in as well. Something you can't live without. We talked about it in different contexts, but what's something that you think that currently today you can't live without?
My family.
There you go. Love that.
Yeah, that's huge. This community.
Very good. What do you think is which are you more logical or more creative?
I think that my logic kind of informs my creativity and vice versa. I think they kind of go hand in hand. I look for creative situations to problems and different things, but I use my logic to kind of get me to that point.
Got you.
So I can't really separate the two.
Gage?
Yeah, I think I like to be creative, but sometimes the logistics of things kind of plug up that creativity.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's things I desire to do and desire to create, but I don't have the time or the bandwidth to process the logistics behind it.
Right.
But then there's other things in my life where I have to be more logistical with than creative.
Right, sure.
Because I don't have the freedom to be able to expand on it yet.
And you have to build a system sometimes to have the creative pieces actually rolled out. So it takes a lot of effort. I think those they do go hand in hand for sure. Javen, what about for you, man? Logical or creative?
I'm definitely logical.
I agree with that. I think you're definitely that guy for sure. All right, favorite book or movie character? You have like one protagonist that you'd be like, yes. Or it doesn't have to be a protagonist. It could be an antagonist. Be a supporting character. Maybe you're a Samwise Gamgee guy, the guy that helps Frodo get the ring to the volcano.
Yeah.
Javo, you got one?
Fun.
Not off the dome. I'll have to think for a second.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's a
go. I'm gonna
deep
go
one.
easy one for you guys. I'm gonna say Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's a good
So
one.
Indiana Jones. No, Jesus is a real character, not fictional.
Did you say
so-
fictional?
I think I said. Oh, maybe I just said book or movie character. But he's not a character. He's a person.
Right, but he was in a book.
Yeah, but he's not a character. He's a person. So you can't really include the Bible in that reason because it's like actual, nonfiction,
All right, yes.
real
yes,
people.
yes, sorry.
Indiana Jones, not a real guy, though I think he's cool. He should have been.
Should have been.
Dr. Jones, come on, baby.
I'd say Neo is probably a pretty cool one.
It's a good one.
Wow,
Really
that's
like
good.
Neo.
It's got good, leather jackets and sunglasses.
Dodge
Guns.
bullets.
That's right.
Petrie from Land Before Time.
Oh, let's go. The
Come on.
tiny dinosaur
Yep.
Petrie.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. The
Star.
little bird.
Looking for the star leaf, huh?
Yep.
J-Vody, coming back to you.
I think I'd say Batman.
Oof, that's a
That's a good
strong
one.
one.
It's a
Batman.
deep cut.
Which Javen and I disagree on which is the better Batman movie. He's definitely,
The one in 22,
which is
the Robert Pattinson one.
incorrect. That is the
100%.
incorrect
Yes,
Batman.
100%.
There's definitely Christian Bale. If it's any other option, I'm
Yeah.
sorry about that. Too bad.
Who's the other one? He.
Christian Bale and then Michael Keaton is
Michael
the,
Keaton,
the second
the
one.
classic,
I mean,
the classic. Come on,
yeah.
he even came back in that other version, which is pretty cool. So
yeah.
I don't dislike the one he says, but he's like, it's the best one of all time. I'm like, no, hard,
Val
pass.
Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, really? You're
Val
going to
Kilmer's
Val?
Batman.
No.
Next week on
Yeah,
the
that was
podcast,
one-
replacing Gage.
Engage.
No,
Someone
listen.
who's
all right,
sane.
all right. Check this out.
We call those people sociopaths.
I don't know that we can trust anything that comes out of your mouth.
It's a hot take.
I'm not
Cotton.
saying he is the best Batman. I'm saying he is the most memorable because I didn't watch Batman movies like that.
Okay.
But isn't he the one from Batman Returns?
No, I think, yeah.
No, Batman
no,
Returns,
Still
that's Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer was later.
Okay.
And then you also had George Clooney for a hot second, and that one was out of scene.
All right, whatever.
Insane.
Tom
All right, maybe you
Hanks
do
is
replace me because
Batman.
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
You just had the underoos, and that was it.
I was young. My mom used to play it probably because she thought Michael Keaton was great. I don't know.
I had the underoos.
I don't
man.
know.
Shout out, Batman underoos. All right, all right. Favorite season of the year and why? Yeah, season of the year.
I like winter here in Arizona because it's cold, but you don't necessarily have to fight snow,
That's-
just depending on location.
Mm-hmm.
Very good example. Gage.
Late fall.
Late fall.
Late
Okay.
fall in Arizona.
So before it gets cold, when it's just
It's still brisk. It's
Okay.
still brisk, but it's one of those times in Arizona where you get 3 seasons in a day,
got it.
which is a little rough. You'll wake up, have to wear 2 layers. Or late morning, you shed one, and then as soon as afternoon hits, you shed the other, and you're.
Yep.
I love it. I love it though.
See, I would say, interestingly, it's all based on location for me. So I would say, like in Europe, I really loved fall and I loved spring. Did not like winter because you could wear layers and look fashionable, and it was really awesome. Spring for the beauty and for the warmness that's coming. Fall for the opposite side. But here, hot take, summer. And I'm gonna say summer because you live in the pool. And so that's where I'm going to come across as a hot take for Phoenix.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
if
Let's
you've
just touch
got a
on this.
pool.
Yes.
Last night you were in the pool at 10:30.
In the pool, cold.
It's November.
Yes, still in the pool.
So it's not. So it doesn't stop you either way.
I
You're
run
just saying you
year-round in the
prefer
pool.
to be in the summer.
Oh,
pool.
definitely. Oh, dude, hours just
alright.
chilling if I can. I mean, if I get hours together, which is usually pretty rare. But
Okay,
anyway, Javo, you got a favorite season?
that's a very hot take.
Yeah, I'd probably say like a mix of what Gage and Angus said. It's probably that October through December run. So like really late
Okay.
fall to like early-ish winter.
yeah.
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 And
In
here it is
Arizona or
beautiful.
across?
Well, just everything happens during that time. Like you have the World Series, NBA kicks back up, Champions League starts.
Yeah.
You have all the holidays that happen all in a row.
True.
Yeah, it's just
Lord be praised.
yeah,
Great time of the
everybody's-
year.
Yeah,
It's a great
exactly.
time of year.
Yeah.
No argument there. It is pretty great. I was just thinking about all the fun times. And most of the great times of my family memories are all summer, from traveling with my kids, or like different adventures we've been on, or
sure.
hanging out. Like we'll play more golf in summer because Javen's off school and it's cheaper, so we get more chances to do that. So just things like that have, for me, I think in recent times have been more of a highlight. The hot
Okay.
part, not a big fan of as much,
Yeah.
but the other parts are pretty great.
It's getting way more difficult as time goes on for me to be able to stand it.
All right, favorite childhood memory. Do you have like something that you're like, man, Christmas of '86 for Angus whenever he got, a certain thing, because you were alive in '86. He wasn't alive till like another decade later. Javon wasn't alive
fact.
till to the
2 decades
2000s.
later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
That's a great question. Favorite childhood memory?
Honestly, one of my favorite childhood ones was actually getting a bike for Christmas. It was huge because that is like mobility in child world, which at the time where we could like free range and do whatever. Having a bike with pegs was awesome because you could like theoretically do tricks and then also jump off of stuff and things like that. It was a huge game changer for me, man. My first BMX, like proper BMX, was amazing. Huge game changer. Because I had mobility and I could go out places like that. I rode my bike to school when I was third grade. You know what I mean? Like,
wow,
this is what
nice.
we're doing.
Yeah.
Half a mile to school. You know, just running.
That's money. That's money.
It's awesome, bro.
I started that in middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah, going to school.
It makes
by
sense because
myself,
it'll get later and later. Eventually, you don't have anybody doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vegas, what do you think?
I'd say probably when I got my first car.
Okay, that's a big
Because
moment.
I was not expecting it for sure.
Oh.
Just because like I mentioned before, I thought my dad made $2 an hour as a physician,
Sure.
so I didn't think that.
So he rocks up with a brand new Lambo for you and you're excited.
Yeah.
And by Lambo, I mean Oldsmobile.
Yeah, it was an '87 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. It was a boat. It was
Cutlass.
Oh, it was awesome. It was so cool. But walking out after I got my license, and my dad was standing next to the car, and as he handed me the keys, that was a
That's awesome.
pretty wild moment. Yeah.
That's a good one, man. It's a good one.
That
You
is
still
funny.
thinking about it?
Yeah, a little bit. So it's just something that came up. I'm thinking a little bit deeper, right, to like when I still had my grandparents around, both of them, and like my uncle, and like different experiences I got to have with them while they were still alive. But one of the things that I thought about as well was the first time I won a wrestling match. So a lot of kids, they'll get started in like elementary school really young, and they'll train up because like I started in club. So like I'm going against these people that do it year round every year. That's their life.
Right.
So I took a handful of whoopings before I ever got to a point where I start like, okay, I get it now.
Right.
Like I'm starting to understand. So one of the first tournaments I won was after like 3 months or 4 months of constant butt whoopings.
Mm-hmm.
And like I could see my dad was proud of me.
Oh, wow.
And like I hadn't, like, it wasn't anything I was really used to, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like he just watched me manhandle these people, and he's like, that's my boy.
Wow.
And I never got that. So like I was like, this is what I'm gonna do.
So this is your lane now.
Yeah. Tearing people up is what I'm gonna figure out how to do well.
Right.
100%.
Good, you got an attaboy for it.
Yeah. And it was huge. So like that was one of the first times where afterwards, like my dad's like arm over my shoulder, like winner, chicken dinner, kid. What we doing tonight?
Wow.
And it was crazy too, because our buddy, he was the first one to ever tattoo my leg, but he tattooed a bunch of stuff on both my parents. He's from Germany, but he flew out from Germany and was doing like some stuff. He was real tied into the BJJ world, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stuff.
Sure. Yep.
And he went to that same tournament too, and he watched me win. And so it was like it was a big moment for me.
Yeah. Your community, your family, everybody together.
My dad and my dad's buddy from Germany.
That's cool.
Two people I kind of looked up to, and
Right.
yeah, first time I really remember like, I'm proud of you, son.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so that was big for
I
me.
love that. See, I'd be afraid of your mom, dude, like coming off the stands after people that try to hurt you. Don't hurt Gage.
Oh, she'll catch. She won't come from the stands. She'll catch him in the parking lot.
Should catch him with a chancla, baby. Come on.
Come on.
Jabo, what about you, man? You got something favorite childhood memory?
I mean, does that include like everything?
Everything.
in
You have
my
a
life
crazy
so far?
childhood. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like up until 18.
Yeah.
I'd probably say when we went to the World Cup. I mean, it's kind of hard to beat that. We were there for like a week,
That's true.
and it was just such a monumental moment, just because for so long. I mean, we'd been back in the U.S. I want to say 3-4 years at that point, and we hadn't gone overseas in so long.
Because of COVID.
Yeah, and you and I finally went back to the Middle East, and like getting to see everybody within that environment was so cool. It was like just a great refresher at the time, and I mean, I got to see my favorite sport live. So
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's a cool one. I thought you were going to say other stuff. I mean, you went to state for mock trial and for soccer and for other stuff, and did very well and top of your class and other thing. You had a bunch of big markers there. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's the experience and everything that like I really don't care about any of the awards. The awards literally was just like, and within my own mind, I was like, whatever will, I don't know, get me to like a good spot in college, and that was kind of it. So
That's interesting.
that's it.
Different perspective, different people, man. For sure, for sure. You know, it's like, you know, Javen and Gage are part of that throw the trophy case away people.
Accolades don't mean nothing.
There you go, man. It's
With that, I never did my Eagle Court of Honor. Like, I got my Eagle Scout, and we
Right.
never did any of that kind of stuff.
No
I
kidding? You
felt-
didn't do the ceremony?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I was like, you know, I didn't even want to go to my graduation for high school. I'm
Exactly.
like, I care about when I get married and when I have kids. Like,
That's interesting.
that was how I was.
See, I think that in the time, I think it doesn't matter as much to you. I think in retrospect it does. And so that's why I always encourage young people, like, listen, this isn't just for you. This is also a marker for your family and for the community of people around you. So enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, celebrate it. And I think that's a big deal. Celeste and I both kind of regret, because she did her college degree as an adult and then her master's as an adult, and me too. And so neither of us walked for our masters. So though we had them, and we've had them for a long time, it's good information, helped us definitely take steps forward. It wasn't the same thing because you never walked across. We never did all that stuff. I did for college. She didn't. Yeah. So she hasn't had those same moments as an adult for those things, because we lived overseas. So for us, her to fly back, for us to try to fly back was impossible at the time. And I even told her, I was like, if you want to go, I'll hold the kids down here. You know, like we knew the math. We couldn't both go.
Right.
But we were willing to do it for her to have that moment. She's like, it's not as important to me. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I'm looking back. Like, that was a really great question, because it made me really start to look back and play out these different scenarios through my younger years, and it really just reiterates how little time we have, right? And like all these little things that like are popping into my mind right now are things that in the moment I really wasn't treasuring the way that I, like, looking at it now, I should have.
Right.
And I think not getting stuck in that mindset is remembering to get stuck in the mindset of the same thing is happening right now. The same things that you wish you'd admired in the past that you're wasting your time dwelling on instead of appreciating what's happening now. Like us being here, getting the opportunity to do this with one another, these conversations.
It's good.
And all of that.
Nah, it's a good shout out. It's awesome. Some good takeaways from that, guys. I think for me, you know, man, those moments, like we talk about, like some of those big highlights, like having that bike or something like that. You know, it's just a childhood. For me, I was thinking as like a little kid, but there's big moments as you grow up that just highlight. And, you know, man, I mean, like I remember, you know, like being filled with the Spirit as a kid at camp. And I remember some moments like that were really pivotal and powerful. Yeah. I remember, you know, like doing stuff we did in youth group and going on mission trips. And there's some huge moments there. Like there's just highlights that are there that are big pieces. And I think like all of that, it builds into your story of who you are. And I think like remembering back to cherish those things is a good thing. Absolutely. I think that's why I'm so tied to like photography and videography, because it helps you remember. You know what I mean? And it's like you can go back and be like, oh, I remember that now. Because like you just opened your mind because you have the imagery of it.
Yeah, so like,
good. Oh man, it's so good. And I was for whatever reason, I looked back at some pictures when we were in Sudan a few years ago, right before the war. I mean, I was there 3 weeks before the war popped off, and I have all these videos of these young kids that are probably in the presence of Jesus, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's just to look at their picture, and I was like, man, Jesus, thank you for this moment with these kids. I don't even know these kids.
Yeah.
But I got to have this moment with them, and it was a real moment. And just to think about how they're probably not even here, you know, but we got to have that moment. So something powerful with that. Switching gears completely, we have 2 last questions. First here is this: your go-to karaoke song. What do you think? Gage is a singer. We already know this. So, Gage, what's your go-to karaoke song, man? You got something?
Anything from Sublime, really. Bad Fish.
Okay.
I'd say Sublime Bad Fish was my original go-to karaoke song.
Interesting.
I used to get slammered in a bar in Georgia, and I would absolutely just rip it all the time.
Okay, so you're going Sublime, not Endless Love in the Dark?
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Not Endless Love. Okay. Angus, what do you think, man? Karaoke.
I'm not a huge fan of karaoke, but I mean, I'll get up and do whatever.
Man, if you end up in Asia, bro, you're going to have to change your tune.
These eyes are crying.
You're my boy, Blue. No, I don't know. Whatever. Shout outs. So nothing comes to mind. Nothing.
Nothing. I
Not
can
Billie
think
Jean.
of, yeah.
Nothing
No.
like.
I mean, Arrested Development comes to my mind. And Afternoon Delight.
That's pretty funny. J-Bo, you got a song, man, that you would do karaoke?
I think either something by Katy Perry or Bruno Mars, just because, I mean, they have so many hits from the 2000s that it's like everybody will sing along with you. So
That's
true.
true. That's a good way to think about that.
That's a good.
Is anything like I think an easy one
Backstreet
is,
Boys.
I would say Sweet Caroline.
Yeah.
That's great.
Everyone's
That's great.
da, da, you know what I mean? And people would sing that. I think You'll Never Walk Alone, because you'll never walk alone. I mean, it's a
good.
big chance that
do
people
not
sing.
support Liverpool.
So, well, I mean,
good.
but it's sing by more than people that do that and that. But Liverpool's taking that on for sure. But I think anything like that, I think it's pretty easy to do. Any big song that people like would naturally sing with you is a win.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. You know, it'd be real gutsy is get up there and do My Little Teapot.
True. You know what else I used to go up there and do was "You Never Even Called Me by My Name" by David Allan Coe. I don't know. And it's so I'll play it later, but it's like it's a redneck staple.
Okay.
Dude, like I remember I would get up there and I'd say it, and the DJ was like,
Oh, deep cuts, huh? Oh, nice.
like one of those.
Nice.
And like you would see people stop. Like as soon as it started, they'd stop and like my hands go up, beers in the air, glasses are clanking.
They're really.
Yeah, that was one of those.
Wow.
It was one of those for sure.
That's awesome. That's
And you know, nobody loved David Allan Coe like David Allan Coe.
That's really funny. I think there's a ton of rock songs and stuff that I could croon to and sing. Especially when I was younger, I had a lot of the octaves. I could really sing that. I was like in state choir and jazz like that.
Whoa.
You know, before as we talked about, smoke, years of Marlboro Reds and, start sounding like Tom Waits. She was a million glass girl.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
You start sounding a lot different, having a different octave. So, but not quite where you can get into Barry White.
Yeah.
You can't get down that low.
Yeah.
So I don't have that register, but it's maybe someday. When Javen was little, he actually had a real deep voice when he's like, "Hey, how you doing?"
I heard a video of that. Just
Yes.
yeah.
He had that. He had that deal. There's a guy who's famous in Arizona. He sells like lemonade at all the sporting events. He does like pretzels and or lemonade and peanuts and stuff. But he's famous, African American gentleman. He does this whole lemonade like Nana made, and he did it like that. And he would do it with this gruff voice. He did it at all the Dodger games, all the Arizona games, all the Suns games. He did it everywhere. He's a famous guy. He's like 15, 20 years here. So when Javen was little, he would emulate him. We'd be sitting out in grass seats, dude, like at the spring training games for the Dodgers, and he would just be like, lemonade like Nana made, and everyone, all the people are like, yeah, they're just cracking up.
That's funny.
The guy loved it. He was all about it.
That's
so
nice.
It's pretty fun. Good time.
That's funny.
All right, one word to leave the podcast. Just a one word that you want to leave the podcast. J-Bo, you got something?
Nah, I'm off the thing for a second.
Angus, one word.
Resilience.
Great. Gage?
Yeah, give me a second.
J-Bo, back to you.
I think conversate.
Conversate.
Converse, whatever it is.
You give a word.
You first, bro.
All right.
Dog.
Words.
Say dog.
Integrity.
There you go. That's a much better word.
Dogs.
I'm going to say proclamation.
Oh.
Thank you for being a part of the collective. We love and appreciate you. Much love to you wherever you are.